Chapter 719. The lightning energy surrounding Chun Hao had yet to dissipate when a strong wave of heaven and earth energy swept over from afar. What's going on? Chun Hao was surprised that there was more than one wave. It seemed to be coming from all directions at the same time. Moreover, the waves were stronger than the wave of heaven and earth energy that he had triggered. Could it be that my heavenly punishment has caused other cultivators to undergo their tribulations? Oh no, this must be the heavenly punishment for ascending to a heaven celestial. Chun Hao's mind raced as he thought of a possibility. Most of the cultivators who had entered the primitive mystic realm were at the peak of the advanced earth celestial stage. The area that he had triggered the heavenly punishment earlier was extremely large. All the cultivators within that area had temporarily escaped the restraints of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. After 20 years of accumulation and improvement, it was not strange that these cultivators at the peak of the advanced earth celestial stage could trigger the heavenly punishment. Thus, in just a breath's time, Chun Hao felt the suppression of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing disappear again. If Hu Meinyang and the others have ascended to the heaven celestial stage, it'll be dangerous. Even with the restrictions of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, it'll be difficult for me to deal with them. I have to leave quickly. Otherwise, I'll definitely become a target for everyone. When he thought of this, Chun Hao did not dare to hesitate. Without the suppression of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, Chun Hao's powerful soul perception spread out and instantly locked onto Chun Shui and the others who were thousands of miles away. He quickly flew over. Master. At this moment, Old God's voice appeared in Chun Hao's mind. You have the Tao manifestation celestial fruit in your dantian? Yes. Old God, this is the space of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. At this moment, because someone has triggered the heavenly punishment, it's temporarily unaffected. Do you have a way to resist the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing? Chun Hao communicated in his mind as he flew. No. My ability will improve as you improve, Master. Moreover, the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing is also a form of training for you. That's not right. How could this place trigger? Gasp. Hearing Old God's doubts, Chun Hao opened his mind completely and became one with Old God. Otherwise, it would be troublesome to explain. So that's how it is. Master, take out the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core and put it back into your mind. This is a precious treasure. It will bring unimaginable benefits to your future cultivation. Even the previous owners didn't have the opportunity to obtain it. So powerful. Chun Hao was slightly surprised. Although he knew that the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core was a rare treasure, he did not expect that even the Old God would hold it in such high esteem. Of course. Right now it's just a fruit core. Even if it's the lowest grade, once it matures, it'll be a heaven-defying existence. The speed at which you comprehend the laws of the heavens will increase by an astonishing amount. In your dantian, it'll take 1,000 years of nourishment before it can take root and germinate. However, if it's implanted in your mind, I have a way to accelerate its growth. Okay, Chun Hao replied. He opened his mouth and spat out a sparkling and translucent light, which was absorbed into the space between his eyebrows. How? Brother Hao. In an instant, Chun Hao met up with Chun Shui and the others, who were flying toward him. At this moment, all the cultivators were in a mess. Within a radius of a few thousand miles, at least 100 people were triggering the heavenly punishment, and the number was still increasing. Judging from their auras, it could be determined that these were the heavenly punishment of those who had stepped into the heaven celestial stage. Countless cultivators who had not triggered the heavenly punishment were frantically scattering in all directions. Some of the cultivators who had triggered the heavenly punishment had to quickly disperse, in case the heavenly punishment overlapped and they could not bear it. In the beginning, no one had thought of such a scene, but it was really happening. It was foreseeable that in the near future, all the cultivators who had been promoted to the heaven celestial stage here would dominate the 9 celestial sealing restrictions and run amok. We have to leave quickly. Once Hu Meinyang and a few other experts reach the heaven celestial stage, it's impossible to estimate how powerful they will be. Chun Hao looked at the crowd and said directly, I just reached the medium stage of the earth celestial stage. Is it Hu Meinyang? Chen Shui asked, frowning. Although Chen Hao had warned her and the others, Chen Shui's special ability was more powerful than Chen Hao's, so she could not determine who it was. Yes. Over there, in the direction of the most terrifying aura. She should be the one triggering the heavenly punishment. Chen Hao looked up in a direction and said, I knew this woman would not give up easily. This time, she was well prepared. If the 4 wild dragons hadn't disturbed her plan, it's hard to say what the result would be. After she reached the heaven celestial stage, she will be even more powerful. Chen Hao's words made Chen Shui, Long Ting, and the others frown. They knew very well that if Chen Hao said it was dangerous, it must be dangerous. Otherwise, according to Chen Hao's character, even if he had a 20% chance of winning, he would not say such words. Obviously, Hu Meinyang was extremely powerful. However, at this moment, Venerable Han Mei pondered for a moment and suddenly said, Master has a suggestion. The Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core is a rare treasure, and Hu Meinyang, with her innate Tao foundation, will definitely not give it up. However, she won't go on a killing spree without any scruples. She's only targeting you. Moreover, after this matter, she won't be the only one. I'm afraid all the experts in the 10 great clans who know the true value of the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core will fight for it. Yes, Master is right. The value of the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core seems to be far beyond our imagination, Chen Hao said with a frown. Therefore, Master suggests that we train separately. Venerable Han Mei stared at Chen Hao and said in a deep voice, Separate? Mother. Little Shui, listen to Mother. Venerable Han Mei waved her hand to stop Chen Shui and continued, We won't be of any use if we stay with Hao. Instead, we'll be a burden to him. Just like today, if it was him, he could have escaped immediately. Even if it was a risky battle, he could have retreated at the right time. However, because of us. Master, you can't think like that. No matter what, we can't be separated. This place is too dangerous, and I don't want any accidents to happen to you. Chen Hao said. Venerable Han Mei shook her head and said, Staying with you is the most dangerous thing for us. Separating is a good thing for you and for us. I believe many disciples of the Sacred Palace are aware of Little Shui, Huan Huan, and Lei's identities. At least in the human race, no one would dare to kill them easily. Later on, when the 10 great clans gather, they'll definitely form an alliance. After all, one person's strength is limited. As for you, you can be fearless after separating. Master knows you can't let us go. But you must know that as long as you're strong enough, you'll be the best guardian for us. If you bring us along, not only will we hinder your progress, but we'll also die prematurely. High and lonely, walk the great Tao alone. This, well said. High and lonely, walk the great Tao alone. Master, I didn't expect Venerable Han Mei to have such awareness. Mother is right. Chen Shui pondered for a moment, bit her lips and stared at Chen Hao. Brother Hao, Auntie is right. For the time being, let's separate. After breaking through the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing, it won't be long before we can meet again. Long Ting also said. The sisters nodded. Fan Dongxing and Fan Donglu naturally didn't say much. Although they really wanted to be with Chen Hao, the current situation was just like what Venerable Han Mei said. Chen Hao had almost become the target of public criticism. If there was a slight mishap, they would die with him. Separating was indeed the best way. Alright. Then take care of yourselves. Try not to fight for magic treasures or whatever. With me here, we won't lack anything. If you encounter something that you can't solve, remember to look for me. I believe my general direction will be constantly transmitted to your ears. Chen Hao's eyes flashed with a touch of arrogance and confidence. Before everyone could react, Venerable Han Mei frowned and said, However, you also have to restrain yourself a little. If you can avoid killing, try not to kill, especially within the human race. The path of the strong doesn't have to be stepped on bones. Too hard and it's easy to break. Those who want to kill me, I will definitely kill them. Master, you don't have to worry about this. There are at least thousands of years in this primitive secret realm. There's no need to worry about anything. Want to use your identity and background to suppress me? Dream on. If it's a competition of father, I won't be weaker than them. At most, when we go out, we'll fight. Chen Hao said. Competition of father? Venerable Han Mei frowned and was puzzled. Our background must be very strong. All right, since it's decided, then I'll go first. Take care of yourselves. Chen Hao's gaze swept across everyone. While there was no suppression from the 9 restrictions of a mortal ceiling, he suddenly turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the sky. This kid. Competition of father. There are not many who can compete with your father. No one realized that deep in Venerable Han Mei's eyes were playful. It's a pity that I'm only a wisp of primordial spirit. In here, you can only rely on yourself. Triggering heaven's punishment at a small realm, it's really out of my expectations. Also, your physical body's self-evolution. Could it really be related to her? Venerable Han Mei shook her head and looked at Chen Shui and the rest who were still looking in the direction Chen Hao disappeared. She said, "Don't look anymore. When he leaves, he will definitely soar into the sky. We've already been imprisoned for 20 years. If we want to catch up with his footsteps, we can only work harder in cultivation." Chen Shui and the rest replied. Han Mei, why do I feel that you're strange? Am I? Yin Wei, I just figured out some things. We're not weak, we've just lost the heart of an expert. If you didn't think of yourself as a weakling, how could you not think of these problems? That's true. Mother, did you comprehend some secret technique? At this time, Chen Shui suddenly remembered that when Chen Hao fought with the 4 wild dragons, her mother had given her an inviolable will and asked. Yes, Auntie. Previously, when Brother Hao fought with the 4 wild dragons. Yes, Master, we also felt it. That's right. Master hasn't spoken much during this period of time, so I've comprehended something. However, it's only a transformation of the mind and soul, and it's not enough to produce true power. Alright, now that so many people are triggering heaven's punishment, hurry up and comprehend it. This is a rare opportunity. Venerable Han Mei had long known that the abnormality from before would be questioned by the girls, so she said calmly. Chapter 720. 10 hours later. What bad luck. The 4 wild dragons are so arrogant in the divine temple, but they can't even kill that kid. Damn it. When Lan Feng saw the 4 wild dragons being smashed into the ground by Chen Hao's giant void palm, he didn't hesitate and ran away. Although he felt the violent tremors of heaven and earth, he didn't dare to pay attention to it. He had a feeling that Chen Hao had seen through him. Although he knew it was impossible, he didn't have the courage to take the risk. The Tao manifestation celestial fruit core was already painful enough for him to kill himself. If he let Chen Hao rob him of his treasures again, he would die of anger. After running for 6 hours, Lan Feng finally slowed down and caught his breath. The further I go, the fewer forbidden areas and cities there are, and the more cultivators there are. If I meet that guy again, I won't be able to resist. He's too strong. Although Lan Feng didn't want to admit it, he knew that the 4 wild dragons were not weak, but Chen Hao was too abnormal. Chi. Suddenly, a few energy waves were felt. Who's there? Lan Feng was shocked. He unsheathed his sword and looked back and forth. The night sky was clear, and there was nothing suspicious in the wilderness. Motherfucker, I Lan Feng, am a disciple of the Divine Hall. How could I be so easily frightened? Phew. Let's find a cave to rest first. Although we can't fly in 10 hours, we've traveled at least a few 100,000 li. That brat can't possibly follow. Ha. Who's there? Lan Feng was horrified. If the energy waves he felt just now were an illusion, then the eerie laughter was definitely not an illusion. Don't play tricks. I'm Lan Feng, a disciple of the Divine Temple, the #1 genius of the Lan family. Ha. The eerie laughter was erratic, sometimes behind him, sometimes in front of him, sometimes in the east, sometimes in the west. Lan Feng couldn't lock onto the aura of the other party. Without the 9 celestial seals, any Earth celestial stage expert could do that. No one could move so fast. This meant that the eerie laughter definitely did not come from a single person. Lan Feng held his sword in one hand and nervously touched the bag on his back with the other. His hair stood on end as he sternly said, I don't care who you are. If you want to rob me, then I'm telling you, don't even think about it. With the token, any records will be sent back to the Alliance Center. Really? Whoosh. A figure that seemed to have completely blended into the night suddenly appeared in front of Lan Feng. His eyes shone with a dark blue light that resembled willow. The wisps as he asked provocatively. When Lan Feng saw this figure, his heart skipped a beat. The phantom race? Boss, this should be a fat sheep, right? A human disciple of the Holy Palace. TSK, that's a pretty big bag. There should be a lot of good stuff in there. Another figure appeared behind Lan Feng and said excitedly. His voice was filled with the innate eeriness of the phantom race. Ignorant. Fourth brother, it's not that I want to nag at you, but although this kid is a disciple of the Divine Hall, his strength is only average. Look at him. He doesn't have the demeanor of a strong person at all. Did he piss himself? Just like that. What good stuff could there be? But it's better than nothing. Another figure appeared. Killing a human disciple of the Holy Palace is worth at least 1,000 contribution points. It doesn't matter whether there are treasures or not, The first phantom race cultivator who appeared, the leader of the four, said eerily. Alright, let's do it. How dare you? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Fight me one-on-one if you have the guts. Lan Feng was frightened and frustrated. If he had known that he would encounter the phantom race here, he would not have dared to leave alone. However, there was no use in regretting it now. He could only think of a way to escape this calamity. Although he could not sense the aura of these four phantom race cultivators, he knew that they would not be weak if they dared to come here and kill a human. Especially since they did not even use their most proficient assassination technique. This was enough to show that they had the strength to kill him in a direct confrontation. One-on-one. Sure, you can fight us four brothers one-on-one. Boom. Ah. Four phantom race cultivators have invaded. Save me. Lan Feng was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. However, he did not want to be killed just like that. He gathered all the energy in his body and shouted with all his might. At the same time, he raised his sword and charged at the one he thought was the weakest. Buzz. Dazzling golden light condensed into mysterious runes that appeared on the seemingly ordinary sword in Lan Feng's hand. In an instant, a majestic and vigorous sword light as heavy as a mountain rose into the air. Ah, what a powerful sword. Fourth brother, be careful. It's too late. Fuck your mother. The fourth brother did not expect that Lan Feng, who had been scared out of his wits like a bear, would suddenly explode with such a powerful strength. Due to his carelessness, he was actually sent flying by Lan Feng's incomparably powerful sword light. If not for his fast reaction, he might have even died. This fucker, he was an expert at pretending to be weak. Chase. You want to run? Dream on. Hiss hiss hiss, four figures instantly blended into the darkness at an astonishing speed. Save me. For, there are only four phantom race cultivators. I'm Lan Feng, a disciple of the Holy Palace. Whoever saves me, I'll give you a sage artifact. Lan Feng's strength was not weak, and he was blessed with amazing providence. He had obtained ancient artifacts and spirit herbs by himself, so he was definitely stronger than any team. Even though he did not have the opportunity to enter any of the core palaces. Even so, these four people were not people Lan Feng could deal with. What was more tragic was that under the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing, the human team leader's token could not send out a distress signal. They could only shout. In this case, how to shout was very important. Fortunately, there were only 4 of them, and their strength was not so strong that he could not fight against them. Lan Feng only needed to tell them the truth and promised a sage artifact as a reward. He believed that as long as there was a small team within 1,000 miles, they would definitely come to his rescue. However, the probability of encountering a cultivator in this boundless wilderness was very low. Die! Chi. The leader, who was the fastest, suddenly stabbed out with his spear when he saw Lan Feng entering his attack range. A violent and fierce spear dragon swept out. Boom. Lan Feng backhanded his sword and spat out a mouthful of blood. Under the huge impact, his body suddenly sped up again. Very good. This kid's sword is extremely powerful. It's stronger than any of the treasures we've obtained. the leader said excitedly when he sensed the profoundness of Lan Feng's sword. Full force. What? At this moment, to the surprise of the 4 spirit race cultivators, Lan Feng, who was frantically fleeing, actually opened the bag on his back. Taking advantage of the short time he was in the air, he took out a pair of sparkling silver battle boots and quickly put them on. When he landed and bounced up again, 2 bright silver runes flashed under his feet, and his speed increased by 10%. This was the space of the 9 restrictions of Immortal Ceiling. To be able to increase one's speed by 10% and activate runes, it was definitely a sage artifact level treasure. The 4 of them were both surprised and delighted. Lan Feng jumped up again and took out a silver soft armor and put it on. After that, he put it on every time he was in the air. After a few times, this guy had turned into a silver armor. Even his head was equipped. Moreover, when the armor took shape, silver light rose from his body. Runes surrounded him, and his speed increased by another 10%. Set bonus. Set. Fuck. It's actually a sage set. We're rich. The 4 spirit race cultivators were completely excited. Boom, 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 boom. In an instant, it was as if they had taken an aphrodisiac, and their speed increased crazily. Lan Feng had never thought that wearing the awesome sage set that he had obtained through a fortuitous encounter in order to increase his chances of survival would cause the greed of the 4 to erupt. Not only did he fail to shake them off, but he also accelerated their speed. The surroundings were completely silent. No human cultivator responded. Ah. In the face of the threat of death, Lan Feng completely threw away his fear. There was only one thought in his mind: run. Run as fast as he could. However, rise. The 4 spirit race cultivators were clearly a team with great teamwork. The second brother bounced up, and the leader pushed with all his strength. Like a cannonball, they flew through the air and instantly flew over Lan Feng's head. With a wave of their hands, they unleashed a terrifying sword strike. The blue sword light lit up the sky. Endless killing intent forced Lan Feng to spit out blood and swing his sword to meet it. Boom. In this confrontation, Lan Feng had the protection and enhancement of the sage set, so he was not injured. However, he was unable to use the force to increase his speed and escape. He knew that he would most likely lose his life here today. At this moment, Lan Feng was slightly regretful. He would rather be robbed by the demon Chen Hao than lose his life. After all, although Chen Hao had robbed him many times, he had never taken his life. This thought flashed past his mind. Lan Feng stopped and looked at the 4 spirit race cultivators who had surrounded him. His battle-intent sword. Run? Fuck your mother. Run again? Kakik. Obediently hand over all your Dharma treasures, and I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Fuck your mother's bullshit. Even if I die, I'll drag one of you down with me. Come at me if you have the guts. Boom. Dazzling silver light lit up the space within a radius of 1,000 feet. Lan Feng's aura surged. In this hopeless situation, his pride as a disciple of the Divine Temple and the dignity of a human cultivator made him angry. However, he did not attack directly. Instead, he quickly took out a box from his bag, opened it, and took out a pill the size of a fist. He swallowed it in one swift motion. Even so, the pill gave off a strong medicinal fragrance. The 4 spirit race cultivators were stunned. How could this weak disciple of the Divine Temple have so many treasures? Could there be more treasures in such a big bag? Even an idiot could tell that the pill was a supreme-grade pill left behind from ancient times. Its medicinal strength was immeasurable. How valuable could it be? However, Lan Feng, whose eyes were filled with madness, actually swallowed it in one gulp. This was clearly a suicidal act. Boom. Roar. As soon as the pill entered his mouth, a majestic and terrifying energy burned in Lan Feng's body like a raging fire. He did not dare to use his mind to refine it. Even if he absorbed it naturally, he felt like his body would explode. However, in this situation where he was bound to die, he had no other choice. A beast-like roar rushed from his dantian to his throat. It exploded and reverberated through the sky. Fuck. I should have attacked earlier. What a waste of such a good ancient pill. A figure who was watching Lan Feng and the 4 spirit race cultivators from afar said gloomily after seeing this scene. Chapter 721. Die, all of you. Sizzle, 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 sizzle. The surging strength nearly caused Lan Feng to explode. He was unable to control this energy with his mind, much less condense any sort of ultimate skill rune. All he could do was send out pure energy from the ancient treasure sword. Lan Feng continuously slashed out with his sword, not even panting for breath. Thick sword energy spouted out for 1,000 feet, crisscrossing and slicing in all directions. Let's get out of the way first. Don't fight him head-on for now. We don't have to do anything. This guy will explode and die. That's right. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. What an idiot. An ancient pill the size of a fist can be preserved until now. It must be a supreme holy grade pill. Let alone an earth celestial. Even Daoyuo Jinxian would have to refine it bit by bit. He's courting death. Damn it, what a waste. Yes, I'm so heartbroken. Hiss, face with the pure and violent energy attack. The 4 cultivators of the Ghost Clan didn't dare to fight head-on. They blended into the darkness and retreated. Their voices were erratic, but they didn't panic at all. The Ghost Clan's talent was to hide and assassinate. At the same stage, it was difficult for cultivators of other clans to capture their aura. This was also the reason why they dared to enter the territory of the human clan to hunt cultivators when the other clans were gathering. Ah, worm, come out and fight with me if you have the guts. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Boom, 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 Lan Feng roared angrily. His eyes were bloodshot. He had risked his life to swallow that pill. He was prepared to die, and he wanted to drag someone down with him. Powerful, indeed, he became several times more powerful in an instant. However, he didn't expect that the cunning Ghost Clan wouldn't give him a chance to fight head-on. He had to admit that this was a very sad thing. Only an idiot would fight with you. Wouldn't it feel good to watch you explode and die? Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. This guy's strength is ordinary, but he has a lot of treasures and good luck. If we kill him, maybe we can have good luck. Sizzle, 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 sizzle. Tisk, tsk, how pitiful. It looks like he'll explode in a few minutes, right? That's right. Lan Feng was like a mad beast. He chased and attacked wildly, but it was all in vain. He couldn't even touch the corner of his opponent's clothes. I don't want to die. I can't accept this. Sensing the increasingly turbulent and violent energy in his dantian and body, Lan Feng madly brandished the sword in his hand. However, the speed at which he released energy was still unable to catch up with the vigorous medicinal efficacy of the pill. His fate seemed to be slowly walking towards a situation where his body would explode, and he wouldn't be able to kill a single opponent in the end. Hiss! A figure brushed past like a gentle breeze. Under the clear night sky, even though it was impossible to completely conceal his figure, Lan Feng's body was radiating a dazzling light that resembled the sun and moon in the sky, attracting the attention of the 4 Spectre clan cultivators. However, no one noticed his arrival. Mountains, rivers, grass, and gravel were all used as props to conceal his figure. His footsteps were light and agile, and his movements were ethereal. With his heaven-defying physical body, he was only as tall as a 5 or 6-year-old child. He was like a cat, and as fast as lightning. Compared to the talents of the Spectre clan, he was not inferior at all. Chen Hao had no choice but to make a move. Chen Hao couldn't bear to see the adorable son of destiny, Lan Feng, die just like that. Not to mention the Dao manifestation immortal fruit core. The treasures he had looted previously were no less than what he had obtained in the core palace. How could he die just like that? Even if they were thousands of miles apart by fate, it wasn't enough to describe the fate between Chen Hao and Lan Feng. This is the leader of the 4. He's the strongest. I'll start with you first. Under the night sky, Chen Hao's eyes shone with a faint golden light, just like Sun Wukong's fiery eyes of truth. No, to be precise, it was the fiery eyes of truth. The Spectre clan's innate ability to conceal themselves was completely useless under his heavenly eye. Just like Hu Meinyang and the other fellows who wanted to be the Oriole, Chen Hao could see through them directly. In this situation, Chen Hao's heavenly eye had been restored to its original state when he used the 5th seal of the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Unfortunately, these 4 Spectre clan men were not as good-looking as a naked Hu Meinyang. Of course, Chen Hao wasn't in the mood to admire Hu Meinyang back then. Hiss, hiss, hiss. In an instant, Chen Hao, who was as small and agile as a child, was close to the leader of the Spectre clan. At this moment, Chen Hao held his breath and slowed down. His aura was completely concealed as he approached step by step. Ah, what a waste. The energy contained in this elixir is too terrifying. Fuck. The leader of the four didn't notice Chen Hao's approach at all. He watched as the frenzied Lan Feng attacked everywhere to vent his energy, but his body continued to expand like a balloon being blown up little by little. He couldn't help but feel pity for the elixir. Yes, it's really a pity. It should be at least a supreme-grade saint-level elixir. It's definitely a treasure. An equally sinister voice suddenly sounded behind the leader. Isn't that obvious? Supreme-grade saint-level. Who is it? The leader suddenly realized something and turned around in horror. Rumble. Swish. Poof. Ah. The leader of the Spectre clan was about to gather his energy when he turned around. However, he didn't see anything in front of him. He didn't even have time to swing his sword. An extremely violent pressure and energy suddenly appeared. His eyes widened. He only had time to see a cold glint before his glabella was pierced. Then, accompanied by his scream, his head exploded like a watermelon. Who is it? Boom. Boom. The other three spirit race cultivators were stunned by the sudden explosion of their boss's head. They only saw a small figure that looked like a dwarf, moving as fast as lightning, streaking across the sky like a stream of light. He was holding on to a treasured sword that was even longer than his body as he lunged toward the second of the three spirit race cultivators. The petite figure stretched and stretched in the void and suddenly transformed into the slender body of a young man. At the same time, a mountainous and ocean-like pressure descended. Swish. Sword light poured down like a long river and the setting sun. It cut through the sky like the Milky Way pouring down from the ninth heaven. Ah. You're courting death. Swish. While the second leader's hair stood on end, he felt a strong threat of death. At this moment, he couldn't care less about hiding. He gathered his energy crazily to meet the unavoidable sword light. At the same time, he retreated quickly, trying to buy some time for the other two brothers to come to his rescue. He knew very well that the person who could kill their leader silently was definitely an expert that he couldn't fight against. However, all of his thoughts stopped here. The dazzling and sharp sword light destroyed his sword light like a hot knife through butter. It cut through the top of his head and pierced through his glabella, splitting him into two. The feeling of being unable to focus on his left and right eyes was still there. Then, he was drowned by the terrifying explosion and endless darkness. His body and soul were destroyed. Ah! Horrified and shrill screams erupted from the mouths of the third and fourth leaders who were charging over. The two of them stopped abruptly, their legs trembling. They turned around abruptly and tried to escape. However, their legs were weak. Even with all their strength, they couldn't reach their usual peak speed. It was too terrifying. If killing their leader was a sneak attack, then what about killing their second leader? They couldn't even block a single blow. Moreover, the time it took for the other party to rush from their leader to their second leader's position was astonishing. Die! Swish! Swish! Chen Hao held their leader's golden spear, and his sword in one hand. His body was bent like a bow, and his body trembled with a bang. The golden spear and sword contained terrifying energy and mysterious fluctuations of runes as they cut through the void. Puff! Two dull explosions sounded, and the two people fell to the ground with screams. Ah! Boom! Boom! Senior, save me. I'm Lan Feng, a disciple of the Holy Temple. If you can, save my life, I Lan Feng will definitely reward you handsomely. The Lan family will also reward you handsomely. The crazy Lan Feng didn't lose his mind. Like a god of death, he killed the four Ghost Clan experts who had forced him into a dead end in an instant. It was too shocking. Such an expert was definitely one of the top experts of the human clan. Although he couldn't think of anyone with such strength, if this person wanted to save him, he would definitely be able to do it. In Lan Feng's opinion, this old man with a face full of wrinkles must be a senior who couldn't break through the Earth's celestial stage, but had lived for countless years and raised his strength to the limit of the Earth's celestial stage. Although this kind of person wasn't a genius, he could dominate his own stage. You're welcome. Lan Feng, right? Old man has heard of you. Stop now and take off your armor. Take off all your clothes. Old man can directly suppress and extract the elixir from your dantian. Signora, I can't stop. Once I stop, the energy from the elixir will directly explode me. I see. This is a little troublesome. With such powerful energy, how can old man get close enough to help you? Senior, I'll send energy to both sides. Just come over. Boom. Boom. Lan Feng changed the direction of his treasured sword and palm, continuously attacking to the sides, leaving a large opening for Chen Hao to attack. This shouldn't be a problem. Chen Hao put his hands behind his back and had the demeanor of a senior expert. The aura and pressure around him were extremely powerful. However, what made Lan Feng anxious was that this guy was slowly approaching him, as if he was taking a stroll in the park. It should be known that every minute and every second, he had to bear the danger of exploding and the excruciating pain of dying. Senior, I beg you, hurry up. I can't hold on any longer. When the heavens are about to bestow a great responsibility on a man, they must first torment his will, toil his muscles and bones, starve his skin and starve him, and exhaust his body. Travel messes up his actions, so he must endure and gain what he can't. Young man, your talent is not bad, but the most important thing is your wisdom. If you can't even bear this little bit of hardship, how can you do it? Senior, I really can't hold on any longer. I beg you, hurry up, hurry up. In order to make room for Chen Hao, Lan Feng had no choice but to vent to both sides. As a result, the speed at which he vented his energy was greatly affected. While he was speaking, his body, especially his lower abdomen and dantian, had been blown up by the wind. Chapter 722. What's the rush? With the old man here, even the king of hell won't be able to take your life. Endure a little longer. When you reach your limit, it won't be too late for the old man to make a move. This is for your own good. It's a rare opportunity to hone your skills, Chen Hao said with his hands behind his back. Senior. I can't hold it in. I beg you. Lan Feng wished he could crush this old man to death, but he had no choice but to endure the pain and beg Chen Hao. He knew that this was his only chance at survival. If the old man didn't make a move, he would die in less than 2 minutes. Chen Hao walked slowly and finally came close. His expression became more serious as he said, "Relax your mind and open it completely. Don't resist. Otherwise, even the old man won't be able to suppress such a violent energy." Okay. Lan Feng was on the verge of collapse. His face was swollen like a pig's head, and it was difficult for him to speak. All he could do was howl. Chen Hao finally made his move. His palm glowed brightly as he slapped the space between Lan Feng's eyebrows with lightning speed. Lan Feng cried out in shock, and his eyes instantly widened to the size of copper bells. He wanted to curse, but unfortunately his vision went black, and he lost consciousness. In that instant, he knew that he was done for. Because to suppress the energy in his body, he definitely shouldn't have slapped the space between his eyebrows, but his dantian. Good boy. After sealing Lan Feng's primordial spirit with a slap, Chen Hao laughed proudly. The wrinkles on his face disappeared instantly, and he returned to his original appearance. Then he stuck his palm onto Lan Feng's vital gate and lifted it up like a puppet. The majestic and terrifying medicinal power seemed to have found an outlet. It surged and rolled along Chen Hao's hands, entering his meridians and dantian. Chen Hao ignored it for the time being. He quickly collected the weapons, bags, and equipment of the 4 spirit race cultivators and left the scene. He went to a hidden cave in the mountain stream. After entering the cave, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged and pressed his palms against Lan Feng's vital gate. Chi. He slowly closed his eyes and focused his mind. The sound of the Grand Tao's chanting resounded in his mind. Reciting the general outline of the Great Tao had long since become Chen Hao's norm when cultivating. What a powerful medicinal effect! In almost an instant, the majestic medicinal power set off monstrous waves in Chen Hao's dantian. If it were not for his strong physical body and the abnormal tempering ability bestowed by the primary outline of the Great Path, Chen Hao would have had to endure immense pain. Even so, this was under the condition that he treated Lan Feng as a furnace. However, there was no doubt that this was exactly what Chen Hao wanted. This fellow has already released so much energy, but this pill has only consumed less than 1% of its energy. This is truly heaven-defying. Who knew how many heavenly treasures and spiritual herbs were needed to refine such a top-tier pill? Even the experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm would find it hard to get even one pill. This should be a saint-level spirit pill that can quickly replenish one's spiritual essence. Chen Hao carefully sensed the aura in the medicinal effect. He did not capture any mysterious runes. Obviously, this was not a special pill. However, he had only tempered it a little. Chen Hao had just killed 4 people. And although it seemed simple, he had consumed a lot of spiritual essence to recover to his peak state. This also allowed Chen Hao to deduce the basic function of this pill. I can't waste it. Although this energy is violent, it is extremely pure and high grade. I have just stepped into the Earth's celestial intermediate stage, and it is just right for me to use it to temper my body. Chen Hao immediately began to devour and temper with all his might. However, he always maintained a perfect degree, so that Lan Feng's body was always on the verge of exploding, and he could slowly absorb it. The most important thing was that he could not waste the medicinal effect. At the same time, he could also give Lan Feng a good opportunity. Chen Hao believed that after being tortured by this violent medicinal effect, Lan Feng's body would definitely have a good harvest. As for his soul and mind, there was nothing he could do. Lan Feng's soul had been suppressed by Chen Hao, and he had fallen into a coma. He could not feel anything at all. Perhaps only Chen Hao, who had a freakish body and tempering speed, could do this. If it were other Earth celestial stage cultivators, no matter how fast they devoured and refined, they would not be able to consume as fast as Lan Feng. In other words, Lan Feng would eventually explode. However, Chen Hao's devouring and refining speed was balanced with the speed at which the medicinal effect was released by the pill. However, as the medicinal effect was released faster and faster, Chen Hao had to devour more quickly to maintain the balance of the energy in Lan Feng's body. This caused Chen Hao to be unable to refine the medicinal effect in Lan Feng's body, and the pain on his body and soul became more and more intense. This made Chen Hao so excited that he started to challenge his own limits. It had been a long time since he had encountered such a situation. Even the heavenly punishment that he had triggered before was very limited. After all, it was only a breakthrough of a small stage, and it was far from the real heavenly punishment that transcended stages. The entire cave dwelling was filled with terrifying energy fluctuations. Originally, Lan Feng's head was swollen like a pig's, but after several hours, Chen Hao himself had become even more swollen than Lan Feng. His entire body had expanded by more than 3 times, and every inch of his skin was stretched out. His blood vessels were clearly visible, as if they would burst at any moment. Even so, Chen Hao continued to expand unbridled. A day later, Chen Hao had already expanded to 5 times his original size. His entire body was like a round balloon. Lan Feng, on the other hand, was suspended in the air by Chen Hao's 2 hands, which had swelled to several times its original size. If Lan Feng saw this scene, he would be scared silly. Is this still the body of a human? 5 days later, in a pitch-black cavern, Lan Feng woke up slowly. I am not dead yet. So comfortable. So good. So powerful. Am I dreaming? No. My body and soul should have been destroyed. How can I still be conscious? Lan Feng opened his eyes. But Chen Hao had sealed up the cavern, so there wasn't even a trace of light. Lan Feng opened his eyes and saw nothing but darkness. No. No, I'm not dead. Senior? In the empty cavern, only Lan Feng's own voice echoed. Ah. Lan Feng stood up, clearly feeling an endless sense of comfort. His essence, energy, and soul were full, and his body was stronger than ever. But just as he took a step forward in the darkness, he suddenly felt a cold wind. He couldn't help but touch his body, and only then did he discover that he wasn't wearing any clothes. What frightened him even more was that between his legs, there was a cool air. This discovery caused him to cry out in alarm. Chi! A wisp of true essence bloomed, illuminating the entire cavern. Lan Feng saw his naked body, and a chill ran down his spine. His face instantly turned pale, and his chrysanthemum tightened. No. I don't feel anything. It can't be. The image of the old man appeared in his mind, and Lan Feng's body trembled. At this moment, he saw the flamboyant handwriting on the cavern wall. Kid, the old man saved your life and gave you a good fortune. So, the old man will accept all your treasures. You're really a talent. Even your underwear is a treasure. Keep up the good work. The old man has high hopes for you. Pooh. Lan Feng looked at the vigorous handwriting and immediately vomited 3 liters of blood. After howling madly for a while, he slumped to the ground with a bang. He opened his mouth and cried loudly. His cries were so loud that it was as if the world had turned dark. Anger? He couldn't be angry anymore. Vent? Who could he vent on? Would he dare to kill the 4 elites of the spirit race as if they were vegetables? Moreover, just like the message on the wall, it was a reward for saving his life and increasing his strength. But damn it, can you not be so ruthless? At least leave a pair of underwear. Sob sob sob. Give me a good fortune. What good fortune? The medicinal power will naturally strengthen my body. Old fart, you have the nerve to say that it was a gift from you? Sob sob sob. In this empty cavern, Lan Feng, who was extremely frustrated and aggrieved, no longer cared about his image. He was like a wronged wife, and his eyes were red from crying. However, just as he stared at the handwriting on the wall and cursed old fart, his eyes suddenly widened, and he stopped crying. The flamboyant handwriting seemed to have been drawn with a single stroke. At first glance, one couldn't feel anything. However, upon closer inspection, one could faintly feel an extremely mysterious immortal sword will. Boom. When Lan Feng channeled his consciousness into the handwriting, there was a sudden boom in his mind. In an instant, it was as if countless brilliant rays of sword light flashed in his mind. Each ray of sword light was filled with boundless immortal sword will. This. Lan Feng was stunned. If Chen Hao was present, he would definitely be stunned as well. This was because he didn't expect that the message he had casually drawn on the wall with the sword light would actually integrate his sword will, solitary sword technique, and dow into it naturally. Old fart. No, senior didn't lie to me. What a terrifying sword will. This immortal aura has already reached a very high level. It has even integrated exquisite sword techniques into the handwriting. Ha ha ha. Lan Feng wiped away his tears and snot and laughed excitedly. Then he sat down with his legs crossed, and began to comprehend the handwriting. The immortal sword will and the Tao it contained were already priceless treasures. Lan Feng had never heard of the exquisite sword technique it contained. Although Chen Hao had unintentionally left behind some superficial knowledge, there was no doubt that Lan Feng had opened a door to a whole new realm. The benefits would definitely last for a lifetime. How much he could reap from this path would depend entirely on his comprehension ability. Lan Feng stayed here for 3 months, and found a set of ordinary Taoist robes that Chen Hao had left for him. This made Lan Feng shed tears of gratitude. When he left, he carefully dug out the entire handwriting on the wall, and put it into his empty bag. Chen Hao's figure was like lightning. He shuttled through the mountains with a huge bag on his back. He held a sword in his left hand and a spear in his right. Chapter 723. The Son of Providence. That's awesome. The ancient holy soft armor set is comparable to a supreme holy artifact. 2 middle-grade holy swords and a bunch of spiritual herbs and spiritual fruits. The Gale sword art and the shadowless ethereal palm. Even the Taoist robe and underwear are made of precious materials that can repair themselves. This is much more than what I've gotten from entering the core palace. The 4 cultivators from the Ghost clan also have a lot of good stuff, but it's nothing compared to Lan Feng's. He had only checked Lan Feng's bag when he was about to leave because he wanted to refine the spiritual herbs. He did not expect there to be so many treasures in the bag. When Chen Hao was checking whether Lan Feng had hidden any treasures, he found that the Taoist robe that should have been torn was intact. There was not even a speck of blood or dust on it. When he took a closer look, he realized it was from the ancient times. Wearing the Taoist robe that he had stripped from Lan Feng and washing his underwear several times, Chen Hao was very excited. Although this set of clothes wasn't an offensive or defensive treasure, It was made of precious materials. Especially with its self-repair function, it was really powerful. More importantly, wearing it made Chen Hao feel extremely comfortable. This kind of comfort came from his soul. It should be known that with Chen Hao's current cultivation, ordinary magical treasures wouldn't be able to give him this kind of feeling, especially for an abnormal soul like his. From this, one could see how awesome this set of clothes was. Fortunately, I came out this time. Otherwise, I would have missed this great opportunity. Heh. After refining the supreme holy grade spiritual pill, Suke, who had just reached the intermediate Earth celestial stage, had completely stabilized his cultivation base. Just this alone was worth it, not to mention that there were so many other treasures. I should be able to reach the nearest forbidden city in half a month. However, I'm afraid the core palace has already been opened. Those treasures and inheritances are nothing to me. Moreover, I'm about to fully comprehend the sixth hex. Chen Hao touched the huge bag behind him and thought to himself. Suddenly, he sped up again. The Forbidden City was the best place to comprehend the 9 celestial sealing spells. Anyone who had a chance of obtaining a palace would immediately enter the city to cultivate. Those who knew they did not have the strength to enter any of the palaces would choose to cultivate in the wilderness. In the wilderness, if you were lucky, you could get a decent harvest. Of course, it was impossible for everyone to be as powerful as Lan Feng, the unfortunate child of destiny. Every time he broke through a layer of the 9 restrictions and entered a city, it could be said to be a new starting line. This was because although every Forbidden Area's city had already been opened, all the cultivators were unable to directly enter the core through the gate of time and space like Helian Wuxia and the other 2. Only after the cultivators had obtained all the treasures and inheritances in the core palaces of every Forbidden Area's city, would the Forbidden Area's city disappear, and the cultivators would be able to enter the next level. Moreover, based on the time spent on the previous few levels, it could be deduced that the 6th level would take at least a year. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Chen Hao was not in a hurry. He spent most of his energy on cultivating and seeking opportunities. It was a pity that Chen Hao, who thought his luck was rather good, was unable to discover the mystic realm hidden in the wilderness. Instead, he encountered many human cultivators. When they saw Chen Hao, they avoided him. This was because Chen Hao would release his aura when he saw these cultivators approaching. He had no interest in hunting people who were too weak, even if they came with a purpose. If he wanted to fish, he had to at least catch a big fish. His bag was already very big. Ordinary things could no longer arouse Chen Hao's interest. He also encountered cultivators from the spirit race several times. At the beginning, Chen Hao stuck to his beliefs. If the other party avoided him, it would be fine. However, if they coveted Chen Hao's exposed divine artifacts, golden spear and sword, as well as the huge bag on his back, then Chen Hao would not be polite. He would kill them without mercy. After a few times, Chen Hao realized that it was completely unnecessary. The spirit race's greed, cold-bloodedness, and savagery seemed to be their innate nature. After testing them 3 times, Chen Hao did not hesitate to kill the spirit race when he saw them. It was a pity that Chen Hao could only discard some ancient spirit artifacts and other items that would be very valuable in the outside world. Only the smaller spirit fruits, elixirs, and other precious items were stuffed by Chen Hao into the bag that was twice his size. Under the celestial sealing restrictions, the brain dimension and storage items could not be opened at all. This was something that could not be helped. In the middle of the night, in the wilderness after 3 months, Chen Hao had already passed through 3 forbidden city areas. Carrying a huge bag on his back, he held a spear in one hand and a sword in the other, moving forward at a moderate pace. Every step he took, it was as if he was stepping on a musical note. His entire person looked very heavy, but he gave off an ethereal and elegant aura. Whoosh whoosh haha. This is so cool. I didn't expect this place to be a holy place for cultivation. Brothers, jump down. This human girl is only at the initial stage of the Earth's celestial stage. Her strength is so powerful. She must be a genius of the human race. Whether she has treasures or not, she will get a lot of contribution points. Moreover, she brought us to this strange mystery land. Our pursuit of her for several hours was not in vain. Ha 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 ha. That's right. Leader, we spent so much effort. It was worth it. However, isn't it too easy for her to be killed like this? Oh. Don't tell me you are interested in this kind of woman? Haha. Leader, I didn't see it before. Now look at her carefully. Her figure is so good. Her real body can't be so ugly. Chen Hao, whose mind was immersed in the laws of the heavenly Tao, heard the specter race's unique and lewd laughter from afar. Soon after, their voices drifted into Chen Hao's ears. A female disciple at the initial stage of the Earth's celestial stage? A strange mystery land? Chen Hao frowned slightly. The voice came suddenly. Although it was drifting, Chen Hao felt that it was not far away. It seemed to be only a few thousand feet away. But it was strange that if it was a few thousand feet away, it should not be drifting. As for the strange mystery land mentioned by the Ghost Clan, Chen Hao did not sense it at all. A moment later, his figure suddenly changed. He turned into a strand of light and flew toward the direction of the voice. In the past, Chen Hao might have liked to be a hero saving a beauty. But now he did not care about it at all. However, since he had encountered such a situation, Chen Hao would definitely not ignore it, especially when it came to the ferocious Ghost Clan. Of course, what was more important was the strange mystery land mentioned by the Ghost Clan. This was what Chen Hao needed the most. For a whole 3 months, Chen Hao had only encountered some very ordinary cave abodes. There were no treasures at all. The cultivation effect was even worse than in the city. Chen Hao carried the enormous bundle on his back as he moved about, nimbly shuttling through the lush mountains and ancient forests like an agile ape. He'd only shuttled through a distance of 1 kilometer when, to Chen Hao's surprise, the originally flat terrain suddenly disappeared, and a steep and deep gorge appeared before his eyes. If he had not been attracted by the sound, Chen Hao would not have discovered this marvelous terrain. This valley was circular in shape. It was about 10,000 feet in diameter. It was like a sinkhole in a plain. The cliffs were thousands of feet high, and strange rocks were everywhere. Looking down, the water was sparkling. Even though it was night, he could see the lingering clouds. What was more amazing was that the energy of heaven and earth and the laws of heaven suddenly increased by several times. No wonder it sounded like it was a few thousand feet. Their voices came from the bottom of the valley, and were spread to the top by this special terrain. What a good place. Chen Hao's eyes emitted 2 rays of golden light as he looked down at the valley. In an instant, he locked onto the figures of more than 10 Ghost Clan cultivators. These people were standing on the only flat ground at the bottom of the valley. In front of them was a lake that occupied almost the entire valley. Chen Hao looked down from above, and could not see the whole picture. He did not know what was at the bottom of the valley. Similarly, he did not see the so-called human female cultivator. There shouldn't be any traps in the lake. Let's chase after them. The ancient cave abode should be inside. Just as Chen Hao did not understand why the Ghost Clan cultivators were not moving, the leader waved his hand and gave the order. Boom, boom, boom. Instantly, all of them were like arrows released from a bow. They increased their speed to the maximum and leaped into the air. Then Chen Hao could not see their figures. What he heard was the sound of splashing water. Could it be that there is another world below? Chen Hao thought to himself as he used the protruding rocks as leverage to descend rapidly. At this moment, Chen Hao was shocked. His true origin circulated, and he almost fell from a height of 10,000 feet. Then he firmly stuck to a rock. It's so big. Chen Hao was shocked to find that the precipitous cliff was like the neck of a wine jar. As he descended, it suddenly expanded countless times. Chen Hao almost fell straight down. The lake, which was originally only 10,000 feet wide, became 10,000 feet wide. Countless night crystals shone on the walls like stars in the sky, illuminating this wine jar-like underground space. At this moment, the Ghost Clan cultivators had also passed through the lake and rushed into the hollow underground space. Chen Hao took a deep breath, and the true essence within his body began to crazily revolve through his strange meridians. In an instant, his body became as light as a feather, following the walls of the cave. No, it should be said that he was now on the top of the cave. He quickly flew inside, directly crossing the lake from the top of the cave and landing. What a magical place! The spiritual qi of heaven and earth and the heavenly Tao laws here are stronger than those in the core palace. Little girl, still want to run? Stop obediently and revert to your true form. If you can satisfy me, I might even take you in as a slave. At the very least, I'll let my brothers have some fun and let you die in pleasure. Kikik. Tisk tsk leader, the more I look at her figure, the better. If you take her in as a slave? Kikik. Don't worry, if I take her in as a slave, I'll just give you a good time. The human female cultivator was covered in blood. Her originally loose Taoist robe, after being soaked by the lake water, clung tightly to her body, revealing her lithe and exquisite figure without a doubt. At this moment, she was already severely injured, and she was forced into a corner of the underground cave by more than 10 spirit clan cultivators. Chapter 724. In this blind spot was a red and gold circular door. The door was covered with complicated runes and exuded a mysterious and ancient aura. Fresh blood, wet footprints, and a thick layer of dust on the ground. It was obvious that no one had set foot in this place for many years. Unfortunately, the female human cultivator could not open the door at all. When she tried to force it open, she was injured by the protective light emitted by the golden door. Her injuries worsened, and she glared angrily at the dozen or so Earth Celestial Realm cultivators who were spouting obscenities. She trembled as she held her sword horizontally in front of her chest. Drip, drip, drip. Blood gushed out from the wound between her thumb and index finger once more as the young girl forcefully circulated her energy, and it flowed down along the sword. Hiss. Suddenly, a mysterious aura surged from the girl's body. Her originally ordinary face disappeared. Perhaps because she had lost too much blood. She was extremely pale, but her beautiful little face appeared in front of everyone's eyes. She looked to be at most 15 or 16 years old. She was still young and did not match her curvy figure at all. Beautiful. She is indeed a rare beauty. Little girl, how old are you? I can tell you now that from now on, you are my maid. Dream on. All of you must die. The young girl's voice was young but pleasant to the ears. Her clear eyes suddenly looked behind the dozen spirit cultivators. Eldest senior brother, are you still not going to make a move? Chunhao was slightly shocked. Had this little girl discovered him? But the direction she was looking at was not the place where he was hiding. Little girl, I used this trick when I was in diapers. You little girl, do you know the danger now? Just as Chunhao was about to reveal himself, and the cultivators of the spirit race were still mocking the young lady for her scaring tactics, a doting voice drifted over. Regardless of whether it was the cultivators of the spirit race or Chunhao, all of them were taken aback. Who is it? Come out with me. Hiss. The leader of the spirit cultivators shouted angrily. Immediately, the dozen of them disappeared into thin air. Apparently, they had used the innate ability of the spirit cultivators. Rumble. With a loud explosion, the leader of the spirit clan, who had just concealed himself, flew out from the girl's sight. His blood stained the air, and he did not even have the chance to scream before he fell to the ground with a plop, turning into a corpse. You're the little girl. She was already 16. You're only 17. The young girl stared at the figure in front of her with dissatisfaction. Her pale little face shone with a blush. What? Let's go. Smelly senior brother, don't let them escape. The young girl reminded him with bright eyes. If you can't run, are you still going to force yourself in the future? The young man, who left the crowd with only his back view, did not seem to care about the spirit clan at all. He did not even look at them as he casually flicked his finger several times. However, every time he flicked his finger, a spirit clan cultivator would fall to the ground like a dead pig. There was a ghastly bloody hole in the center of their brows. If you keep talking, I'm going to ignore you. Hiss. The young man didn't seem to move much, but he emitted a bright green light that enveloped the heavily injured girl. A majestic aura of life spread out, and the girl immediately sat cross-legged with a comfortable smile on her face. So powerful. Chunhao, who was hiding in the distance, was dumbfounded. From the beginning to the end, he did not sense the presence of the young man. Until now, he had not even seen the young man's face. However, more than 10 Spirit Clan cultivators were killed just like that. It was easier than stepping on a few ants. He must be a top expert in the heavenly immortal realm? No matter how confident Chen Hao was, he knew that he was no match for this young man. At best, he was slightly better than these Spirit Clan cultivators, but he could not escape death. 1617. When did the human race have such a monster? I've seen the overall combat strength ranking. It's impossible that I don't have any impression of him. Fortunately, I wasn't discovered. Chen Hao had even restrained his soul perception to avoid alerting the young man. Although he was not an enemy, he had to be cautious. The young man was too powerful. So powerful that Chen Hao did not have the slightest chance of winning. Even if he was a heavenly immortal, Chen Hao did not think that he could do so. Moreover, he was under the 9 restrictions of immortal ceiling. Chen Hao did not move at all. It was as if he had turned into a statue. He was waiting for an opportunity to leave as soon as possible. In just a few breaths, the majestic light of life slowly dissipated. The young girl jumped up lightly. Her young and tender face was as beautiful as a flower. There was not a trace of paleness left on her body. Not even a trace of injury was left on her body. Such a terrifying healing power made Chen Hao dizzy again. He even suspected that this was not real. After the young girl stood up, she looked directly at Chen Hao's hiding place and shouted, "Hey, sneaky kid, come out." Chen Hao's heart skipped a beat. "Junior sister, don't be rude. He was just about to save you." The young man patted the young girl's head and slowly turned to look at Chen Hao's hiding place. He said, "Brother, since you're here, come out. This may be your opportunity. We won't make things difficult for you." Cough cough. Chen Hao was sweating in his heart. He originally thought that the young man had not discovered him. Now it seemed that his every move was under the young man's control. Even the young girl seemed to have discovered him long ago. However, what puzzled Chen Hao was that he did not understand the young man's words. But at this time he could no longer hide. Carrying a huge bag, holding a golden spear and a treasured sword, he walked out lightly. At this time, Chen Hao had already seen the young man's appearance clearly. He was only 16 or 17 years old, and his hair might not even be fully grown yet. However, Chen Hao could not really treat him as a young boy. The young man was not very handsome, but like the young girl, every inch of his skin was perfect and flawless, emitting a sparkling luster. His whole body exuded an aura that Chen Hao had never sensed from anyone before. The blood qi is so heavy. The young girl frowned and stared at Chen Hao. Her clear eyes seemed to see through Chen Hao. "Although the blood qi is heavy, your beer is untainted. It's fine." The young man smiled and stared at Chen Hao. "There's so much food." Chen Hao's heart skipped a beat. Especially when he saw that the young girl's eyes were looking at the huge bag behind him. Chen Hao felt a little uneasy. If these two people wanted to rob him, he really would not be able to do anything. He would definitely become the second Lan Feng. Greedy. It won't do you any good, but it's a spiritual medicine for him. "I just want to eat." "Hey, what's your name?" the young girl asked first. "Chen Hao." "How should I address the two of you?" Chen Hao cupped his fists and said in a deep voice. Since he had reached this point, Chen Hao had nothing to worry about. At worst, he could just leave naked. If the young man wanted to kill him, even if he could struggle a little, it would be useless. But now, the young man's expression did not show any hostility. "My name is Senior Brother. What are we called?" "We don't have names." The young girl and the young man's words confused Chen Hao, but he could tell that the two of them were not lying. This meant that the two of them were not human cultivators at all. The young man also said that the spirit fruit was useless to the young girl. Chen Hao did not understand and could not figure it out. The spirit fruit in his bag would be priceless spiritual medicine in the outside world. How could it be useless to cultivators? "Oh, don't worry about what we are called. Can you give me the spirit fruit in here? I'll give you something in exchange." Okay. Although Chen Hao was reluctant, and he was certain that this deal was unfair, he still agreed. The situation was compelling. If he hadn't seen the young man's heaven-defying cultivation, he would have let it go. But since he had seen it, no matter how unwilling Chen Hao was, he could only give in. Otherwise, he would be an idiot. Besides, although the young man said that the spirit fruit was useless to the young girl, Chenhao noticed that when he agreed, the seemingly aloof young man also swallowed his saliva. Senior brother. I'll go get it. Brother Chenhao, wait. After the young man finished speaking, he suddenly disappeared without a trace. In front of him, Chenhao did not feel any energy fluctuation. It was as if the young man did not exist at all. He just disappeared into thin air. What a strong cultivation. Chenhao could not help but praise. Of course, my senior brother is amazing. But 2 years later, I'll be just as powerful. Chenhao, give me the spirit fruit first. There's nothing to eat within 100,000 miles. I've been hungry for a long time. 2 years. You'll be as powerful as your senior brother? Chenhao said in surprise. As he spoke, he removed the bag on his body and took out a few spirit fruits and passed them to the young girl. Of course. My senior apprentice brother was born a year earlier than me. 2 years later, I'll be able to become Dao companions with my senior apprentice brother at the age of 18. We'll share our divine abilities. Don't be fooled by how strong my senior apprentice brother is. Are you humans? Chenhao could not help but ask. Humans? I don't know what you're talking about. Crunch. As the young girl said that, she happily ate the spirit fruit. That look made Chenhao feel as if he was looking at Long Ting. Aren't you the cultivators from the top 10 clans who entered the primitive mystic realm this time? What top 10 clans in the primitive mystic realm? Show me your memories. If not, I don't know what you're talking about. My senior brother and I were born from master. Although we have many inherited memories, we don't have what you're talking about. That won't do. Everyone has their own privacy. How can I casually show you my memories? Chenhao realized that this little girl was completely ignorant of worldly affairs. She didn't understand the ways of the world at all. She was frighteningly naive. In reality, even his senior brother, who appeared mature on the surface, was only mature on the surface. Otherwise, he would not have acted like he wanted to eat the spirit fruit too. But there was one thing. Both of them were extremely pure in their hearts. Therefore, Chenhao was not worried about anything and said deliberately, "Oh, if that's the case, then it's too slow to communicate with each other. Condense it into a message for me. Or I'll trade with you. You look at mine and I'll look at yours. Is that okay?" Chapter 725. Where does your senior brother go to get things? Chenhao did not directly agree, but asked instead. Go to our cave residence. It's about 40,000 miles away and we'll be back soon. Do you want to exchange? I have a lot of inherited memories. When my senior brother comes back, he will definitely not allow me to do so. If you want to exchange, hurry up. Cough cough. You all grew up here? Yes, we were born in this cave residence, but our range of activity is only 100,000 miles around here. When I turn 18 and become Dao companions with my senior brother, we can leave this place. After exchanging memories, you will know. Do you want to exchange with me? The young girl's eyes were filled with anticipation as she said. From birth until now, there was only 100,000 miles of space. Other than the inherited memories, she knew nothing about the outside world, just like a bird in a cage. The young girl was very eager to understand more about the outside world from Chenhao's memories. If her senior brother was here, he would definitely not allow this kind of thinking. Therefore, when Chenhao changed the topic twice, she changed it back. Otherwise, when her senior brother came back, it would not be good. Okay, let's exchange. Yes, when my senior brother comes back, please don't say anything. The young girl said as a ray of light slowly rose from between her eyebrows, spreading towards the space between Chenhao's eyebrows. Mind-opening. In this cruel world of cultivation, only the people closest to each other dared to connect their minds and let their memories, through this connection, quickly flow into the other person's mind. If someone had bad intentions, it could easily cause serious damage to the soul. But the young girl was the first to release her memories without any ulterior motives. Chenhao's mind moved, and a bright ray of light blossomed from between his eyebrows, instantly merging with the young girl's ray of light. Hiss. Immediately after, Chenhao operated the boundless memories in his mind, and as they appeared between his eyebrows at an extremely high speed, the young girl's memories also began to surge and merge into Chen Hao's mind. For a brief moment, Chen Hao was both shocked and speechless. At the same time, he felt a little guilty. He was shocked by how amazing this girl's birth was, as well as the countless inherited memories from the ancient times. These were all things that he had never even thought about. What was even more shocking was the concept of the universe in the girl's mind, as well as some inherited memories of the infinite starry sky, the universe, and the planes. It was a complicated plane map of the universe, the positions of each universe, and the countless stars in each universe. The amount of information was so huge that Chen Hao didn't even have time to look at it. He could only swallow it and copy it in his mind. What made Chen Hao speechless was that the girl didn't have the slightest filter of her memories and presented them to him directly. As for the guilt, it was naturally because although Chen Hao had completely opened his mind, he had filtered out many memories that he did not want the girl to see. For example, some memories that were not suitable for children, memories about Earth, his birth, memories about the old god, treasure-seeking sword spirit, techniques, and so on. Hiss. After a short 2 minutes, the passage between their eyebrows was cut off. What an exciting world, the girl said excitedly. Chen Hao, when I turn 18, my senior brother and I will find you, okay? Sure. It's only 2 years. As long as you go to the core area of the 9 restrictions of Immortal Ceiling to find me, you will definitely find me, Chen Hao said without hesitation. At this moment, he already knew what kind of existence the girl and her senior brother were. They were existences that were more powerful than the great sage, Heaven's equal, Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong was a spiritual intelligence born from a celestial stone. The girl and her senior brother were both born from heaven and earth, but her spiritual intelligence was her master's life imprint. First, there were inherited memory fragments, then spiritual intelligence. After a long time, she was born with an immortal spiritual body. What was even more amazing was that one was the extreme yin of heaven and earth, while the other was the extreme yang of heaven and earth. Once the girl turned 18 and became an adult, her yin and yang with her senior brother would merge, and she would directly become a sky immortal. Moreover, this sky immortal would not be a sky immortal from the vast universe galaxy, but a sky immortal with the highest combat power before the collapse of the primitive mystery land. Chen Hao really wanted to know the girl's unique skill inheritance. Unfortunately, although the girl did not keep it from him, the girl's inherited memory would continue to be unlocked as her cultivation level increased. Her senior brother is only at the peak of the later stage of the Earth celestial stage, but he is already so powerful. If he becomes a sky immortal in 2 years, he will be comparable to Daluo Jingxian from the vast universe galaxy. This is too heaven-defying. Compared to them, my talent is nothing. Their master must have deduced the collapse of the universe. That's why he could use the supreme divine power to pass down the supreme divine power. What kind of realm does he have to be in to have such a great divine power? Chen Hao did not dare to imagine. Fortunately, both of them had a pure heart and were born with kindness. Otherwise, if they were evil, no one would be able to stop their growth. Phew. I am me. Why should I be discouraged? I have found my Tao. It's just a matter of time. I will not lose to anyone. Chen Hao, what are you thinking about? Give me some more spiritual fruits. Okay. They are all yours. Eat as much as you want. Huh. You are really good. Although you have hidden a lot of memories. Cough cough, some of them are personal secrets. Of course, I can't show you, Chen Hao said awkwardly. Your spiritual altar is very powerful, even more powerful than my senior brother's. Also, you are very small. Also, there is a powerful existence in your mind that is guarding your soul. You have so many secrets. Azure planet. Earth. Master's universe, I think there is one. Ah. It's so magical. The girl continued. How did you know? Chen Hao's eyes widened. He was shocked beyond words. Brother Chen Hao, you have been fooled. At this moment, the young man suddenly appeared. Junior sister, you are always fooling around. Why don't you come out? Come out? You're in my mind? Chen Hao was instantly shocked, and his hair stood on end as he stared at the young girl. Brother Chunhao, please don't blame her. Junior sister is young and ignorant. There was a problem when she awakened her spiritual intelligence. I am sorry. Junior sister, if you don't come out, I will seal you for 100 years. The young man seemed to be really angry. As he spoke, a mysterious rune appeared in his hand. I don't have any evil intentions. Why are you being so fierce? Hiss. Chunhao did not feel anything. A ray of light flew out from between his eyebrows and disappeared into the girl's forehead. Apologize. The young man said sternly. Forget it, forget it. It doesn't matter if you know. It was an exchange of memories. I hid it first. Chunhao was shocked by the girl's terrifying ability. But since things had come to this, he could only pretend to be magnanimous. After all, the girl did share her memories and neither of them had any evil intentions. If the young man did not say it, he would not have known. Apologize. The young man waved his hand at Chunhao and said sternly while still glaring at his junior sister. I am sorry, Chunhao. I was just curious about what you were hiding. Don't be angry. The girl was a little wronged but still said obediently. It's okay. As long as you tell me how you did it, I won't be angry. Chunhao said after hesitating for a while. At this moment, Chunhao no longer thought that the girl was simply sharing all her memories with him. To be able to silently sneak into his mind and see the memories that he didn't want her to see, it was really a little too terrifying. Luckily, Chunhao could feel that although the girl had lied to him, she did not have any evil intentions. Moreover, the young man's attitude towards him was very good. His eyes did not have the slightest bit of the arrogance of an expert. Brother Chun, this is a type of soul healing technique. It can only be used when your soul is connected, when you're not defending, or when you're unconscious. It can explore all the memories in your soul and enter deep into your soul palace. If your soul is heavily injured and you fall into a coma, it can be easily awakened. At the same time, it can also help to heal your soul. Brother Chunhao, junior sister is naughty. Although she did not have any evil intentions, she has violated your privacy. As compensation, this technique, let my junior sister impart it to you. I hope you don't blame her for being rude. Ah, senior apprentice brother, Chunhao was only surprised and curious. He didn't blame her. I won't say anything. Seeing her usually doting senior apprentice brother glare at her once more, the girl immediately shut up. She pouted and looked at Chunhao. Then I must thank you. Chunhao was shocked, but his words were not polite at all. Even the peak existences of the vast universe galaxy might not necessarily have such an ultimate technique. At the very least, Chunhao had no idea. Even the 3,000 Great Tao didn't have any records of this. Pass it on to brother Chunhao. Oh hiss! A milky white light shot out from between the girl's eyebrows and floated towards Chunhao. Chunhao opened his mind and allowed this light to fuse between his eyebrows. His eyes shined with excitement. Soul healing technique. This was actually a complete set of soul techniques. It included soul tempering, soul force utilization, and soul healing, a complete set. Just by looking through the information in his mind, Chunhao was able to surpass his expectations. How was this just healing? Chunhao was sure that with this set of soul techniques, his strength would rise by leaps and bounds. It had to be known that in the vast universe galaxy, as well as the 3,000 Great Tao in his mind, there wasn't a single cultivation method or ultimate technique that could directly temper the soul. The only way to strengthen the soul and increase the soul force was to passively withstand pressure, heavenly punishment, illusions, emotions, and so forth. There was also the increase of one's boundary and passively tempering one's soul force. But this brother and sister actually had an ultimate technique that specifically enhanced their soul force. This was simply too shocking. However, as he thought of their backgrounds, this was also a matter of course. Since their master was able to condense a life mark, he naturally had astonishing attainments in the soul. Brother Chunhao, these are things that I want to exchange for spirit fruits with you. Take a look at how many you can exchange for, and give them to my junior apprentice sister. At this time, the youth opened a white jade bottle in his hand. A rich and alluring medicinal fragrance wafted out. This is? Chunhao had a surprised look on his face. He looked at the 7 colored bean-sized pills in the bottle and asked. Chapter 726. Soul Refining Pill. When you cultivate the soul healing technique that my junior sister taught you, take one pill and you'll get twice the result with half the effort. It'll also increase your soul energy faster. It can also heal people with soul injuries. This soul refining pill should be considered precious to you, the young man said uncertainly. Of course it's precious. Although Chun Hao's spiritual altar is very strong, it hasn't been tempered. It's obvious that he doesn't have any soul refining technique. Moreover, I don't see any memories of the soul refining pill. The young woman interrupted. Through the young woman's memories, Chun Hao knew what the spiritual altar was. In their minds, the spiritual altar was the collective name for the soul, state of mind, and will. That's right, brother. Your soul refining pill is much more precious than my spirit fruit. That's good. If Brother Chen gets more spirit fruits, you can find us in our cave abode. We'll still use the soul refining pill to exchange with you. My junior sister and I are restricted by the restrictions that our master left behind. Before we reach the heaven celestial stage, we can't leave the space of 100,000 miles. Crunch. The young man finally could not hold back and took out a spirit fruit to eat. Although he tried to control himself, the joy in his eyes was obvious. However, the truth was that the spirit fruit was just like what the young man had said. It was useless to them. As for why, Chun Hao did not know. All right. That's not a problem. I have a lot of good food here. However, with the 9 restrictions, I can't open the space in my mind. When the time comes, you can find me in the core area. With your cultivation base, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm afraid no one in the primitive mystic realm is your match. Brother Chen, you're too humble. I might not be your match, the young man said shyly and embarrassedly. How is that possible? You killed more than 10 Spirit Clan cultivators with just a wave of your hand. I can't do that. That's because their souls were too weak. You're different. Your spiritual altar is as clear as jade. Even your soul will gives me a sense of danger. My divine ability can't harm you. Your body and true core strength aren't any weaker than mine. If I fight you, I only have a 40% chance of winning. Moreover, you're just at the Earth Celestial Stage's medium stage. I'm at the Earth Celestial Stage's late stage. So strong. No wonder senior brother was so fierce to me. He was afraid that I would be in danger. The young girl thought to herself when she heard her senior brother's words. The grievance on her face instantly disappeared, and she said, Senior martial brother, I just told Chun Hao that when I'm 18 and we become Dao companions, I'll go look for him, okay? The outside world is so exciting. Good. It's just, Brother Chun Hao, can you do it? Of course. As long as you are willing, I can take you to my universe. But brother, you and your junior sister should have a name. Although our master left behind many memories, he did not give us any names. Since we are going to follow Brother Chen to your universe, why don't we take on your surname? Our names. We specialize in soul cultivation. Junior sister will be called Chun Ling, and I will be called Chun Han. Sure, my name is Chun Ling, hee. Brother Chen, what do you think? Pretty good. It's just that Chun Hao seemed to be in a difficult position. Brother Chen, tell me. You are the life imprints of your master, born from heaven and earth. This is an extremely shocking existence in our universe. You must not let anyone know. Also, you must not let anyone know that you are from this primitive mystic realm. Once this is revealed, it will lead to unimaginable consequences. There is no problem with both of you taking on my surname. When you come to our universe, you will appear as my younger brother and sister. But both of you are Dao companions. So, I think it's better for both of you to take on my surname. Yes, my name is Chun Ling Chun Hao. You will be my big brother from now on. Big brother, you can change your surname with senior martial brother. The young girl said excitedly. How about Li Yang? Li is another one of my surnames, and you have the extreme young immortal spirit body. Chun Hao said directly. Li Yang. Okay. Since junior sister is your younger sister, I will call you big brother. Big brother. This cave abode was left behind by our master's lifelong enemy as well as his lifelong best friend. Big brother, you might have the opportunity to obtain it. Li Yang accepted Chen Hao's arrangement easily and changed the topic. He looked at the reddish gold door and said, "Lifelong enemy and lifelong best friend?" Hearing Chen Hao's doubts, Li Yang did not waste any time. He formed a milky white memory ray and sent it to Chen Hao. "I see," Chen Hao said. Chen Hao seemed to have seen the scene of two peerless geniuses from back then, competing and fighting all the way, yet appreciating each other's talents. This senior is on the opposite end of the spectrum from our master. Our master mainly cultivates his soul and uses his spirit altar to refine his physical body before surpassing his physical body. However, this senior is the opposite. He mainly cultivates his physical body and uses his physical body to refine and nourish his spirit altar, allowing his spirit altar to transform into his physical body and achieve the unity of his spirit and body. Big brother, your physical body is very strong, so you have a high chance of obtaining his inheritance. The inheritance memory that our master left for us was originally for junior sister and me to obtain. Our master thought that an extreme yang or extreme yin immortal spirit body would definitely be able to obtain it. Unfortunately, I failed a year ago. You saw junior sister's situation before. She couldn't open it at all. Big brother, give it a try. If you can obtain this senior's inheritance, after junior sister and I become one, we will impart our master's ultimate skill to you in exchange for this senior's ultimate skill. As long as we can combine our master's and this senior's ultimate skills, we will definitely become the strongest in the universe. Okay, I'll give it a try. Chen Hao was already excited without Li Yang's words. For Chen Hao, who had already found his own path, ordinary ultimate skills could no longer arouse Chen Hao's interest. However, the brother and sister's ultimate skills were extremely important to him. How could the inheritance left behind by this senior, who had been able to compete with their master for a lifetime, be weak? Moreover, he would definitely leave behind treasures such as magic treasures and elixirs. Big brother, the restriction on this door is very powerful. You have to be careful. I tried to open it just now when I was in danger. Not only did I fail to open it, but I was also attacked. The young girl, Chunling, called Chen Hao big brother, very smoothly. Okay. Chen Hao took a deep breath and released his powerful soul perception. He stared at the golden door and approached it step by step. When he was 10 meters away, he stopped. He didn't immediately make a move. Instead, he carefully observed the complex and mysterious runes on the door. Chapter 727. Senior brother. Does big brother really have a chance? The young girl, Chunling, had a little fear on her face. She looked at Chen Hao, who stood in front of the crimson gold door without moving for a full 3 minutes. She turned her head and said to her senior brother, "I attacked forcefully just now. My mind was almost destroyed, and my body was also heavily injured by the pressure that was released in an instant. Lower your voice. Big brother Chen Hao should have a chance. Master cultivated us with a heaven-defying ability, allowing our bodies to break away from the mortal body. It made up for the flaw of Master's soul cultivation. In the same realm, no one should be stronger than us in terms of body. As for the spiritual altar, it's our advantage. From the birth of intelligence to our birth, countless years have passed. Even if our souls were not complete before we were born, under the talismans and energy that Master cultivated, we were strengthened to the point where we surpassed celestial immortals. This is also the reason why we reached such a realm in just over 10 years after we were born. However, I can feel that big brother Chen Hao is stronger than me in both body and spiritual altar. He just doesn't know how to use the spiritual altar. Those cultivators just now came from the same universe as big brother Chen Hao. They can't be compared to big brother Chen Hao. The difference between a firefly and the sun. If big brother Chen Hao can't obtain it, who can? Oh, senior brother, I still don't understand. In the memories that Master left for us, he said that we had to try under extreme yang and extreme yin conditions to obtain his inheritance. But big brother clearly doesn't have an extreme yang or extreme yin constitution. Isn't that because you're lazy? I was born a year earlier than you. Look at your current battle prowess. Master has passed down his memories to us. He has also left us many cultivation manuals and secret manuals. You have never seen any of them. Once we become one, we will step onto Master's path and there will be no changing it. Master's original intention was for one of us to inherit this senior's legacy. Then through the two of us becoming one, we'll try to break through their extreme Tao. Extreme Tao can be understood as a deviant Tao or a deviant Tao. There were a myriad of grand Taos, but all paths led to the same destination. Although that was the case, only the righteous path would allow one to avoid detours and reach the peak. In fact, in the end, Master understood that he and this senior had their strengths and weaknesses, but they were unable to break through the shackles and step onto the true peak. Unfortunately, Master went against the heavens and condensed us, but he was still unable to obtain this senior's inheritance. Li Yang stared at the motionless Chun Hao as he spoke softly to his junior sister. Although he was only 1 year older than his junior sister, Li Yang was different from his playful and lazy junior sister. Before the spiritual platform was completely built, he had already begun to digest and absorb the legacy memories that could be opened. After he was born, he even crawled into the training manuals and manuals left by his master. In terms of knowledge and cultivation, he far surpassed his junior sister. No. In the blink of an eye, for hours had passed. Just as Chun Ling was about to collapse from waiting, Chun Hao suddenly uttered these two words. "Big brother, you haven't even tried it yet. Why did you say no?" Chun Ling's figure flashed and appeared in front of Chun Hao. She frowned slightly as she looked up at him. Li Yang also appeared silently next to Chun Hao and asked, "Big brother Chun Hao, are you trying to decipher the runes?" "Yes, it's a pity that these runes are completely beyond the scope of my comprehension. I can't decipher anything even though I've already immersed my mind into them. That's for sure. Big brother Chun Hao, with this senior's level, the runes that he condensed casually aren't something that we can comprehend. Moreover, this is something that he specially left behind for his successor. I think we can only force our way through. Of course, with our strength, we can't force our way through." "Senior brother, isn't that the same as not saying anything?" Chun Ling asked. "I understand. What you mean is that we can only find the way to open it by attacking forcefully." Chun Hao seemed to be lost in thought as he spoke. "That's right. I think this senior mainly cultivated his physical body. Since he chose his successor, he must have extremely high requirements for his physical body." "Not necessarily. Senior brother, you said earlier that since our master understood that he and this senior were both at the extreme grade, perhaps this senior also understood it? In that case, it's very likely that he has extremely high requirements for his spiritual altar. In any case, after we obtain his legacy, we can temper our physical body and improve it quickly," Chun Ling suddenly said. Her clear and bright eyes shone with intelligence. What junior sister said makes sense. Could it be that there are requirements for both the spiritual altar and the physical body? Your physical body and spiritual altar are very strong, but you didn't succeed either, Chun Hao said as he looked at Li Yang. Although Li Yang said that he was stronger than him, Chun Hao could sense that Li Yang was definitely not inferior to him in terms of physical strength or soul strength. If they really fought, Chun Hao felt that he didn't even have a 10% chance of winning, let alone 40%. Perhaps this senior has already excluded me and junior sister. Li Yang pondered and said. In the letter that Master left behind, he mentioned at the end that when he was condensing my and junior sister's life imprints, we once offered to help this senior to condense his successor, but we were rejected. Master was very angry and said that we didn't know what was good for us. This is also the reason why Master left a message for us to try. Brother Chun Hao, try it. No matter how we discuss it, there won't be any results. Don't worry, the runes on the pure gold door will only injure people, not kill them. With me here, as long as it doesn't hurt your foundation, I can help you recover instantly. Okay, you guys step back. Boom. Chun Hao's essence, chi, and spirit burst out instantly. His spiritual altar and physical strength were activated to the extreme. However, he didn't use any special skills. Bang. Suddenly, he stomped on the ground, causing the mountain to shake and the earth to shake. His body was like a dragon coming out of the abyss, and he threw out a punch. It was a simple punch, but it gathered all of Chen Hao's strength. Although it didn't contain any special skills, it was enough to smash an ordinary expert at the peak of the later stage of the Earth's celestial stage into powder. Brother is so powerful. Chun-Ling opened her eyes wide and finally understood why her senior brother said that he only had a 40% chance of winning against Chen Hao. Although this punch did not contain any supernatural power or law, she, who mainly cultivated the soul, could clearly sense how strong Chen Hao's spiritual altar was. His soul power, willpower and state of mind were all shining brightly in his mind. He was almost invulnerable to all spells. It was impossible to attack his soul. Moreover, she was sure that if Chen Hao knew how to attack his spiritual altar, the divine thought that entered Chen Hao's mind would be annihilated directly. Moreover, she had obtained most of Chen Hao's memories, so she knew very well about Chen Hao's past. Apart from the mysterious memory from the Azure planet, his current strength was achieved step by step through arduous cultivation. His difficult childhood, poor cultivation environment, and countless life or death situations. That was how he had achieved today's achievements. Compared to her and her senior brother's unique conditions, he was thousands of miles away. This was also the reason why Chun-Ling accepted Chen Hao as her big brother so easily. At this moment, Chen Hao's punch made her eyes filled with admiration. It was admiration from the bottom of her heart. Chapter 728. Hi, Rumble. The moment Chen Hao's fist touched the crimson gold door, his spirit, soul, and physical strength burst out like a river bursting through a dam or a volcano erupting. Chi. At the same time, on the crimson gold door, the complicated and mysterious runes rose up with dazzling light, and a terrifying pressure, like the rebound of a mountain, surged and enveloped Chen Hao. Wang. Instantly, Chen Hao felt numerous profound talisman markings flow along his fist and pour into his body, soul and body. At the same time, it was as if he'd entered into a tsunami of raging waves that surged into the sky. Yet it was also as if he'd fallen into a sandstorm that covered the sky and covered the sun. Dragons and elephants galloped over his soul, and darkness swept out like a fierce blade that sliced apart every inch of his flesh. Pooh! Without any suspense, Chen Hao spat out a mouthful of blood. His pitch-black eyes were filled with shock. This was the first time that Chen Hao felt the aura of death from the collapse of his body and the shattering of his soul. It was irresistible, unstoppable, and his life and death were beyond his control. Big brother! Retreat! Chun-Ling and Li Yang were shocked by the scene in front of them. Even they did not expect Chen Hao to choose to condense all the strength in his body into his fist and directly take the attack head-on. Before this, Li Yang had tried many times. Although he had thought about directly contacting the gate with his body, every time, as long as he gathered his strength, he could not get within 2 meters of the golden gate. He would be seriously injured by the rune power that suddenly burst out. However, Chen Hao punched the gate hard. But at this moment, the pressure and power of the runes on the door were too terrifying. Even Li Yang, who was dozens of feet away, felt like his body was being crushed and his spiritual altar shattered, not to mention Chen Hao, who was enveloped by the power of the runes. Chi. Li Yang didn't want Chen Hao to die like this. Although he looked mature on the surface, he had a childish heart that wasn't inferior to his junior sisters. Just like how he knew that eating those spirit fruits wouldn't have any effect on his cultivation, he was still greedy for their delicious taste. He, who had never left this place, was also full of curiosity and endless longing for the outside world. Although he had seen many cultivators during this period of time, the only one who could make him have a good impression of and had a connection with was Chen Hao. If he died like this, he and his junior sister did not know when they would meet such a powerful person who had no ill intentions towards them. Therefore, even though he knew the danger, when he saw Chen Hao spitting out blood, his body was about to shatter, and his spiritual altar shattering, he still condensed a great void handprint as fast as he could, and tried to pull Chen Hao. Boom. However, as soon as Li Yang's giant handprint touched the runic light, it was annihilated. Don't come. I've entered the test. At this moment, Chen Hao suddenly said with difficulty. His aura was rapidly weakening, but his physical body was on the verge of collapse, and his soul and his mind was on the verge of turning into fine powder. The only thing that Li Yang saw was the cracks in his spiritual altar, but they had already stopped. Chun Hao was bathed in blood, but his horrified eyes were shining with a touch of determination. He was very clear that in that moment, if the pressure and power of the runes had wanted to kill him, he would have already been turned into powder, his body and soul destroyed, but it did not. Just when Chun Hao felt that he was going to die here, the runes that had poured into his soul and body no longer attacked him. Instead, they shuttled through his soul and body, and even swept through Chun Hao's memory cells one by one. Voila! The stunned Li Yang and Chun Ling stared at Chun Hao with a trace of worry and excitement. It did not last long. 3 breaths after Chun Hao stopped Li Yang from saving him, the terrifying pressure and power of the runes suddenly changed, as if it had turned into the Milky Way of the 9 heavens, pouring down. At the same time, the golden door shone with a dazzling white light, like a space-time gate, and Chun Hao's body turned into a stream of light that disappeared into it. The white light disappeared, and everything returned to silence. He went in. It's opened. Li Yang and Chun Ling held hands tightly, looking at each other with shock and joy. Big Brother is really amazing. Junior sister, let me see Big Brother's memories. In the future, we'll follow Big Brother to another universe. Let me know more. No. You were so fierce just now. Chun Ling rolled her eyes. I'm just afraid you'll be in danger. Besides, without Big Brother's permission, it's fine to exchange memories, but it's a big taboo for you to peek at his privacy. Junior sister, let me see. I'll give you more of those spirit fruits. I'll ask for less. Li Yang said. I was the one who wanted to exchange the spirit fruits. You wanted to eat them, so you pretended. You wanted to see Big Brother's memories, so you pretended. Ahem. Okay, let me see. Li Yang's face turned red, and he said a little awkwardly. If you show me, I'll tell you a secret. What secret? Senior brother, do you have a secret from me? You didn't study hard, you didn't even read Master's letter. I naturally have secrets that you don't know. Then I'll go back and see for myself, hee. Up to you. Li Yang gloomily let go of Chun Ling's hand, looking angry. If Chun Hao saw Li Yang like this, he probably would not be able to connect the current Li Yang with his previous mature performance. This was clearly a little boy who had not yet fully developed his mind. Don't be angry, I'll give it to you. That's more like it. Hearing junior sister's words, Li Yang turned around and said with a smile, I'll also tell you. Huh? Immediately after, Chun Ling's eyes widened in surprise, and she looked at Li Yang with confusion. Senior brother, is this true? I don't know if it's true or not. This is only Master's guess, because that senior's attainments in the great deduction technique are extremely high. Now it seems that it should be true. What an interesting world. Big Brother Chun Hao is so powerful. Li Yang answered junior sister's question while he digested the memories that junior sister sent over. Bam! The white light dissipated, and Chun Hao fell to the ground like a dead pig. Did I come in? Forcefully enduring the pain of his soul and body being on the verge of collapse, Chun Hao struggled to sit up. With a glance, the empty underground space was like an independent world. The ceiling and walls of the cave were dotted with countless stars, and the sun and moon hung high in the sky, surrounded by celestial light. Ancient divine dragons circled and danced in the air. Ancient mammoths stepped on the ground and had their heads above the blue dome of heaven. The auspicious holy beast draconic horse that was awe-inspiring and mighty, the divine beast Qilin that released the boundless power of the earth, and many other ferocious space beasts that Chun Hao had never seen before. They stepped on the stars, had the sun and moon above their heads, and all of them were lifelike and emitted a real pressure. Could it be true? Chun Hao opened his eyes wide in shock. Originally, he thought that these should be pictures carved on the ceiling and walls of the cave, but after carefully observing and sensing, he discovered that the lifelike stars, sun, moon, and ferocious creatures not only had a real pressure, and every detail could be seen clearly. More importantly, the material was not the material of the walls at all, but as if the sun, moon, stars, and ferocious beasts had been forcefully driven into the walls by a supreme true body. Chapter 729. This is a true almighty. Chun Hao took a deep breath and calmed the shock in his heart. In the past, he had only heard of such an existence in the legends recorded in the vast universe galaxy. But when he saw the traces left behind by an ancient almighty, he was still shocked beyond words. How strong did one have to be to pluck the stars and capture the moon? To shatter the galaxy with a punch? If not for the fact that these ancient divine beasts that had been condensed into the rock walls had lost their lives, just the pressure alone would have been enough to destroy Chen Hao. But now just the pressure left behind by the corpses made Chen Hao feel irresistible. The sun, moon, and stars above the cave ceiling were also not carvings, but condensed into the rock walls. But it could not be the real sun, moon, and stars. Chen Hao did not know what the truth was, but he could sense the terrifying energy contained in it. And this energy was the foundation of maintaining the cave of inheritance. What is that? When Chen Hao struggled to stand up, he saw a sunken, circular pool in the middle of the underground world. The pool had a diameter of 10 zhang, and it radiated a 7-colored light. Runes covered its surroundings to form a barrier, making it impossible to see what was inside the pool. Chen Hao was shocked. On the other hand, there were densely packed linear grooves around the pool, extending in all directions. Chen Hao observed carefully, and found that the linear grooves extended to a circular bowl-shaped groove that was only half a meter in diameter directly below the corpses of the ancient divine beasts. What do these ancient divine beasts have to do with the central pool? These linear grooves seem to be connected to the central pool and the ancient divine beasts. The seriously injured Chen Hao walked forward step by step. Although the pressure was getting stronger, it did not harm Chen Hao at all. After a while, he arrived at the edge of the central pool. Moreover, Chen Hao found that as he approached, the 7-colored light that shrouded the pool seemed to be getting brighter and brighter. The 7 colors flowed and the celestial light lingered, and a faint fragrance was emitted. This fragrance was not any that Chen Hao knew of. Just by breathing in a little, Chen Hao felt like he was floating in the clouds. The pain in his body and soul that was on the verge of collapse was also greatly reduced. It's too strong. Just the smell increased my recovery speed by more than 10 times. What is it? It's unlikely that it's an elixir. This is a pool, could it be? Chen Hao suddenly looked again at the ancient divine beasts that had lost their lives and were still emitting pressure after so many years. Originally, the appearance of these divine beasts made Chen Hao feel strange, but at this moment, he suddenly understood what was going on. No matter what posture the ancient divine beasts took, their center would always be facing the bowl-shaped groove beneath them. Although the grooves that led to the central pool had long since dried up, there were still traces of the past left behind, faint, different-colored crystalline lights. A blood pool. A pool of blood formed from the blood of the 100 most powerful divine beasts in the ancient times. The reason why it's not blood is because it's the blood of the top ancient divine beasts. No matter if it's a human or an ancient divine beast, when the body is tempered to the limit, it will mutate. The snowy night has different colors. After it gathered in the blood pool, it became 7 colors. After being sealed by runes, although many years have passed, the bloodline aura hasn't dissipated. It was only when I broke through the seal and entered here that the rune seal slowly opened. Therefore, I didn't smell the fragrance at the beginning, but now I smell it. Soaking the body in the blood of powerful beasts is the most direct way to temper the body. And this senior mainly cultivated the body. The spiritual altar turned into a physical body. This blood pool must be the place of inheritance. Wang. When Chen Hao's emotions surged, and he slowly reached out to touch the 7-colored light, a terrifying devouring power suddenly came. Not to mention that Chen Hao did not resist. Even if he did, it would be useless at this moment. Plop. The viscous 7-colored liquid instantly drowned Chen Hao. In just an instant, a strong fragrance began to enter Chen Hao's body from his nostrils, and even his pores. At this moment, the comfortable feeling from before completely disappeared. What replaced it was that the cells in his body were attacked by a violent energy, and almost instantly collapsed. At the same time, Chen Hao's immortal foundation appeared to be under endless pressure, but it was protected by a mysterious wave of energy. He fell into a state of half awake and half asleep. Everything became hazy, and the pain of his cells collapsing could be faintly felt. The pain of his soul shattering and spiritual altar collapsing was reduced by 100 or 1,000 times. A tall and mighty figure, like a war god, appeared in Chen Hao's hazy consciousness. The sound of the great Tao rumbled, and the laws of the divine ability filled the air. A vast amount of information was passively integrated into Chen Hao's memory. In his hazy state, there was no shock, no fear, and no desire to investigate. There was only a hazy, half-asleep, half-awake state accepting everything that was integrated into his mind and body. Inheritance. This was a true inheritance. Inheritance was not only an ultimate Tao technique, but also an inheritance of memories and a supreme opportunity to be reborn. This could be considered as a continuation of life. In the world's strongest divine beast blood pool, Chen Hao was in a daze. His body and spiritual altar had already collapsed the moment he entered and integrated into the blood pool. If there was an outsider, they would not be able to see Chen Hao at all. This was because he had already disintegrated, his soul and body completely disintegrated. However, the profound ancient runes allowed Chen Hao's shattered everything to maintain a subtle connection that was scattered and continuous. It could be said that he had already turned into a blood pool. Time passed by minute by minute. After an unknown period of time, the churning blood pool gradually calmed down. There were only light ripples, and endless bloodline power slowly gathered at the core of the blood pool. The blood pool was like a placenta, the blood of divine beasts was like amniotic fluid, and Chen Hao was like a baby gradually taking shape in his mother's womb. He was in a daze, as if he had just gained intelligence. He was hazy and had no consciousness. There was only a strand of feeling, experiencing the process of his own evolution. His flesh and blood were reorganized, and his spiritual altar was rebuilt. As time passed, Chen Hao became more and more awake. The more awake he was, the more intense the pain he had to endure. He could not even faint. His body could not move, but his soul would not be destroyed. He was forced to endure endless pain and endless pressure. For the first time in his life, Chen Hao wished that he could die quickly. But no matter how he thought, it was useless. After he was completely awake, Chen Hao was constantly roaring in his mind. He gritted his teeth and endured. The sea of bitterness seemed to be boundless. Outside the cave, outside the golden door, Li Yang and Chen Ling sat cross-legged facing each other. Their palms were pressed against each other, and their bodies shone with a bright light. Yin and Yang Qi intertwined and circled around them, emitting an extremely terrifying spiritual pressure. Someone else is coming? Suddenly, Li Yang opened his eyes, and two rays of light flashed past. Senior brother, let me. Just watch. Chen Ling also opened his eyes, and there was a trace of excitement on his face. Yes, the people coming are getting stronger. Be careful. Also, don't kill the innocent. Got it. If no one spreads the news, what are we going to eat? Chen Ling said. It had been half a year. Chen Hao had stepped into the cave for an entire half a year. In this half a year, 6 batches of cultivators had broken into this underground world. However, they were all stopped by Li Yang and Chen Ling. They did not even have a chance to approach the golden door. Of course, the two of them did not kill people casually. They only punished them slightly and secretly took away spirit fruits. From the beginning to the end, the people who came did not know of their existence. They were completely confused and were chased out of the underground world. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 730. Half an hour later, Chen Ling returned to Li Yang's side, slightly disappointed. The people who came this time only had these few spirit fruits. What a waste of my energy. Fortunately, these spirit fruits look good. Senior brother, I'll give you 3 and I'll take 4. This. Junior sister, I'll split them equally with you. If you're like this, I won't split them equally with you next time, Li Yang said with a frown. At this moment, he did not have the demeanor of a senior brother at all. Instead, he was like a calculative child, staring at the tender spirit fruits in Chen Ling's hand. In the past 6 months, the two of them had been acting as Chen Hao's protectors. Apart from cultivating, their greatest joy was eating spirit fruits. However, even with the continuous flow of cultivators, the number of spirit fruits was far from enough to satisfy the needs of these two gluttonous fellows. It was not easy to obtain 7 spirit fruits, and both of them were drooling. Stingy. You're my senior brother, but you're not modest at all. I'll give you half. Chun-Ling said with a twitch of her lips. Then, she bit off half of a spirit fruit and handed it to Li Yang. After receiving it, Li Yang directly put it into his mouth, closed his eyes, and chewed and swallowed with great enjoyment. Crunch! Crunch! Soon after, the eyes of the brother and sister opened wide as if they'd eaten the most delicious spirit fruit in the world. In an instant, they'd finished their remaining 3 spirit fruits, and they still looked as if they hadn't had enough. It's delicious. This spirit fruit is better than any spirit fruit we've eaten before. Yes. Unfortunately, there's too little. Junior sister, did you search thoroughly? I've opened all the packages, and there's only these. Big brother still hasn't come out. It's been half a year, and there's no news at all. Big brother said that there's plenty of delicious food in his mind. This senior is not inferior to our master, and everything might be under his control. Therefore, this inheritance is probably not simple, and it's normal for it to take a long time. Junior sister, you? Oh no. While Li Yang was speaking, Chun-Ling's eyes suddenly lost their luster, and she was about to collapse. Li Yang was shocked and wanted to help Chun-Ling up, but his vision turned black, and he collapsed without thinking. 1,000 miles away. Commander Du, we've completed the mission. As expected, they only stole our spirit fruits. Is this really okay? We'll know later. How was your situation just now? Let's talk as we walk. The cultivator called Commander Du said. This person was one of the top 30 Earth Immortals in the temple, Du Jing. He was a disciple of a top sect in the vast universe galaxy, Poison King Valley. His combat strength was terrifying, and what was even more terrifying was that his poison techniques had reached the acme of perfection. He had already obtained the qualifications to cultivate the Poison King Sutra. In the sacred hall, if the disciples of the same level dared not provoke the 4 berserk dragons, then Du Jing would be avoided like a snake. With the Sutra of the Poison King in his body, the slightest carelessness could lead to him falling into its trap. It was impossible to guard against it, and the mere mention of it would cause one to pale in fright. Yes. The situation that we encountered was basically the same as what Zhu Fei and the others encountered. When we discovered the underground world, before we had time to go down, we became muddle-headed. When we woke up again, the spiritual fruits in our bags were gone. Commander Du, what on earth was that? If you want our lives, I'm afraid we won't be able to resist at all. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the guardian spirit beast of the underground world. The primitive mystic realm has collapsed for so many years. It's not strange for a powerful land of inheritance to give birth to a guardian spirit beast. Moreover, its soul power is definitely much stronger than yours. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to interfere with your minds. Unfortunately, its weakness is also very obvious. It's a gluttonous auspicious beast. It doesn't kill and is gluttonous. Haha. Du Jing's eyes shone with excitement as he said, Fortunately, I broke through to the Heaven Immortal stage and took out some divine medicine that I prepared this time. Commander Du, what kind of divine medicine did you plant in the spirit fruits? Can it kill that spirit beast? I still have lingering fears when I think about it. Although it didn't show itself, when it lured us out, it left a warning. If we dare to enter again, it will take our lives. Kill? How can I kill it? An auspicious beast. With such a powerful soul power, if it becomes my pet, with the help of its soul power, who in the primitive mystic realm would be qualified to be my enemy? Don't worry. The divine medicine I used this time is the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm, made by the previous valley master of the Poison King Valley personally. I used my sect's strongest poison technique, the Poison King Sutra, to put it into the spirit fruits. It's colorless, tasteless and untraceable. If it wasn't gluttonous, I wouldn't have been able to subdue it. But now, as long as it swallows the spirit fruits, no matter how strong its soul power is, as long as it's not Daoyuo Jingxian, it will be slowly swallowed and controlled by my soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Then it will become my auspicious beast. if we can get the inheritance and treasures of the underground world. The rewards this time. Ha ha ha. Commander Du is amazing. It's our fortune to be able to follow Commander Du. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, I Du Jing will never mistreat my own people. The greater my rewards, the greater your rewards. With the divine medicine in hand, I'll become a heaven immortal. After I get this auspicious beast, you can follow me and roam the primitive mystic realm. You, and you, the few of you don't have to follow me. Immediately split up and go to the city ahead to find out about Chen Hao. He must have many treasures on him. When the time comes, I only want the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core. The rest will be yours. Yes, Commander Du. Du Jing was one of the experts who had temporarily broken free from the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing when Chen Hao had triggered the heavenly punishment. He had also triggered the heavenly punishment and become a heaven immortal. Before that, even though he coveted the core of the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit, he didn't dare act rashly. Firstly, Chen Hao's strength was too strong. Secondly, the powerful saint medicine he'd prepared for the primal secret realm this time was sealed within the space of his mind, and he was unable to take it out. Otherwise, he would definitely be one of the Orioles. He even dared to fight for it with Hu Meinyang. But now he had encountered a rare opportunity to step into the celestial immortal realm. He also took the opportunity to take out his sacred medicine. Unfortunately, Chen Hao left too quickly. Many cultivators who had stepped into the celestial immortal realm, especially Hu Meinyang and the others, could not find any trace of Chen Hao. As for Chen Shui, the sisters Long Ting and the others, they did not dare to act rashly. After all, the treasure was not with them, and they had to be wary of their mysterious origins. Similarly, without a good reason to fight for it, they did not dare to act rashly against a few people who might be direct descendants of the Divine Temple's upper echelons. Because the token would record everything. Hiss. Hiss. Du Jing led more than 10 cultivators with powerful auras, and quickly headed towards the entrance of the underground world. When he saw the deep valley that suddenly appeared before him, Du Jing was even more excited. The dense heaven and earth spirit qi and the heavenly Tao nomological laws were definitely stronger than any place he had encountered in the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. This was only the periphery. Commander Du, be careful. We were confused when we advanced a little further. Don't worry. Du Jing took the lead and walked up quickly. The energy and divine thought were circulating all over his body. He was not as sure as he said. Of course, he had to be cautious. Let's go. There are no more problems. When there was no response, Du Jing said. His body swayed and he jumped down like an agile ape. What a magical place. Ha ha ha. I'm looking forward to it more and more. Let's split up and look for the auspicious beast in the water. Remember, after you find it, don't act rashly and inform me immediately. Don't touch it, or even your souls will be devoured. Before falling into the lake, Du Jing saw the underground world on the other side of the lake at a glance. After giving the order, he jumped up and stepped on the water, and quickly headed towards the opposite side. Although more than 10 cultivators wanted to go directly to the underground world on the other side, they did not dare to disobey Du Jing's order, and jumped into the lake one after another. Buzz. Buzz, buzz, buzz. When Du Jing, who emitted the aura of a heavenly immortal realm expert, charged to the other side and noticed the profound crimson gold door, he was even more extraordinarily excited, and he didn't notice in the slightest that the cultivators that dove into the lake had only gone a short distance before terrifying rumblings sounded out in their minds one after another, and they didn't even have the time to let out a cry before losing consciousness. In the depths of the lake, the one who went in is an expert in the heaven celestial stage. Very powerful. It seems to be much stronger than Big Brother's aura. Well, a sinister guy. He poisoned us. This poisonous insect is very powerful. Although it can't do anything to us for a while, it will take us some time to refine and destroy it. Now I have to divide half of my spiritual strength to resist the poisonous insect. What should we do? It will be bad if he affects Big Brother. Chunling frowned and said. Probably not. We are just afraid that other cultivators will disturb Big Brother. How can it be so easy to enter? Moreover, Big Brother has already gone in, so no one will be able to go in. Although this guy's spiritual altar has reached the heaven celestial stage, it is not as pure as Big Brother's spiritual altar. As for his physical body, it is even more incomparable to Big Brother's. At most, he can attack the door. He should not affect Big Brother. Junior sister, when I lure him away, you leave immediately. No. Senior sister. Even if I refine the poisonous insect, I am afraid I am not his match. I should lure him away and deal with him. Otherwise, we will all die in the hands of this sinister villain. Don't fool around. Once you leave the spiritual lake, his senses will instantly lock onto you. Listen to Senior Brother. After I lure his attention away, I will directly escape to our cave abode. As long as I escape to the cave abode, he will not be able to do anything to me. After I refine the poisonous insect in the cave abode, it will be time to kill him. Don't act rashly. After you leave this place, refine the poisonous insect first. After that, you should be able to avoid his senses. 3 days. After 3 days, come back here and wait for Big Brother to come out of seclusion. Remember, don't be greedy in the future. If anyone comes again, kill them if you can, and don't appear if you can't kill them. Chi. Not allowing Qinling to refuse, Li Yang pointed his finger, and a pure divine thought suddenly imprisoned Qinling temporarily. Chapter 731. Senior Brother. Qinling's eyes were filled with tears, but she could not move. 5 minutes later, my divine will be unsealed. Hiss. Following Li Yang's words, a ball of milky white light appeared between his eyebrows and merged with Qinling's mind. Junior sister, this is something I've learned more than you. When your spiritual altar reaches my level, it will be unsealed. Li Yang patted Qinling's head gently and looked at her affectionately. He did not say anything else and disappeared silently. Senior Brother. Qinling's tears gushed out. Unfortunately, she could not even make a sound. An ominous feeling filled her heart. If they had woken up earlier and left this place earlier, they would not have met Du Jing before he arrived. If Du Jing had arrived a few minutes later, if she and her senior brother had not been greedy, unfortunately, there were no ifs. Although the powerful poisonous insects and the saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworms couldn't take their lives, they couldn't refine and eliminate the invisible soul-devouring parasitic silkworms, which were the natural nemesis of souls, in a short time. This caused her and her senior brother to lose their absolute advantage in the spiritual altar. Although their bodies were powerful celestial spiritual bodies, they were only at the earth celestial stage. The intruder was a heaven celestial. Without the soul-devouring parasitic silkworms, she and her senior brother would not lose even if they could not kill the intruder. But now there were no ifs. What a complicated and mysterious rune. I can't understand it at all. Forcefully breaking through. This aura seems very dangerous. Du Jing stood in front of the crimson gold door, and sensed it for a few minutes. He did not dare to try rashly. Why didn't any of them come out? Turning around, Du Jing walked over to the lake. The surface of the lake was still, without even the slightest ripple. Du Jing frowned slightly. He wanted to let his subordinates try it first and see how it went. He was cunning and vicious by nature. Before he figured out the mystery of the crimson gold door, he did not want to test it. If there was labor, he would use it. Splash. At this moment, a water arrow suddenly shot out of the water. A figure appeared before Du Jing's eyes. I've discovered something. You're courting death. Although Du Jing was surprised when he saw the figure that popped out of the water, he did not pay much attention to it. After all, that figure was one of his followers. However, before he could finish his sentence, he felt a dangerous aura that made his hair stand on end. The energy in his body instantly reached its peak, and his soul strength circulated at a high speed as he sent out a palm strike. Rumble. The terrifying energy directly exploded, breaking the tranquility. The lake water splashed, and the follower's corpse was directly turned into fine powder. However, a streak of light escaped upwards as fast as lightning. What? A human-shaped auspicious beast? At such a close distance, Du Jing instantly locked onto a faint fluctuation coming from the other party's mind. It was the fluctuation of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm, which had a certain connection with him, but could only be sensed from a very close distance. Where do you think you're going? Needless to say, Du Jing also knew that his subordinates were all finished. In his anger, coupled with the preciousness of the humanoid auspicious beast, Du Jing had no reason to give it up. Whoosh. At the same time, he activated the Poison King's scripture in an attempt to control the other party. However, it was a pity that the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm didn't listen to him at all. It seemed like it was restricted by a powerful soul power. The two figures, one in front and one behind, were as fast as the wind and lightning. Du Jing, who had stepped into the heaven celestial stage, sensed the aura and speed of the other party, and he became excited. It was just an auspicious beast at the earth celestial stage, and the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm couldn't subdue it. How powerful was it? Moreover, the aura of the other party's body was untainted by the aura of the mortal world. It was agile and elegant, and obviously it was also very powerful. However, at this moment, Du Jing had absolute confidence that he could subdue it, because of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Auspicious beast, stop obediently. You can't escape. In the future, if you follow me, Du Jing, I will treat you well. You can enjoy all kinds of precious spiritual fruits. Wouldn't it be great to bring you around the world? Although your speed is not slow, it won't take long for me to catch up with you. You're just struggling in vain. How long can you withstand the pain of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm? Stopping is the only way for you to get rid of the pain quickly. As long as I activate the Poison King's scripture, I can make you complete the transformation in a short time. Bang. Chi. What answered Du Jing was Li Yang's crazy speed. Li Yang originally wanted to exchange his death for a chance to escape for his junior sister. It was impossible for him to be a match for an expert in the heaven celestial stage, especially when he only had 30 to 40% of his power. He told his junior sister that the only chance of survival was to escape back to the cave residence, but that was just to comfort her. With a distance of 40,000 miles and only 30 to 40% of his power, how could he escape the pursuit of an expert in the heaven celestial stage? Moreover, although he didn't know the name of the poisonous worm in his mind, he could judge its ability based on its nature of devouring souls. Once the spiritual altar was completely devoured, he would no longer be himself, but a puppet that had lost its self-consciousness and was controlled by others. Therefore, what he had to do now was to buy time for his junior sister as much as possible. Facing Du Jing, who was powerful and fast, Li Yang had no choice but to increase his power crazily. He increased it by reducing the power of his soul to resist the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. The pain of having his soul eaten by thousands of worms almost made Li Yang collapse, but the obsession in his heart to protect his junior sister made his spiritual altar more and more crystal clear. And his will was indestructible. Auspicious beast, you're asking for trouble. Boom. Seeing that he was about to catch up, he didn't expect the other party's speed to increase. However, through the fluctuations from the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm, Du Jing knew that the humanoid auspicious beast increased its speed by reducing the power of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Therefore, he didn't panic. Senior brother, it's so boring. When can we be born? Junior sister, our spiritual wisdom has been fully formed. If we want to be born, we have to concentrate on condensing immortal chi. Senior brother, it's been 1,000,000 years again. I'm going to die of boredom. Senior brother, you're born. Woo-woo. It's all your fault for not concentrating on cultivation. Don't cry, I'll help you. Yes, senior brother is the best. Senior brother, I'm finally born. Senior brother, what's this? Spirit fruit, it's very delicious. Junior sister, try it. Senior brother, I still want to eat. Okay, I'll go find it with you. However, you have to concentrate on cultivation and catch up with me quickly. Senior brother, what's the use of you always looking at these? Play with me. These are the books that Master left for us. We're humans, so we have to learn how to be humans. Come and take a look. I don't want to read it. Senior brother, Master's memory said that when we reach the peak of the later stage of the Earth's celestial stage and have similar strength, We can combine yin and yang and become cultivation companions. What is cultivation companions? Cultivation companions. It's a man and a woman who are always together and will never be separated. Senior brother, I've obtained big brother's memory. Why do I feel like we're brother and sister? Brother, sister? Senior brother. I also feel like, hee, I'm just teasing you. Look at how sad you are. Soon, we'll become cultivation companions. The endless pain of having his soul devoured made Li Yang fall into a state of madness. In his mind, he recalled the countless years since he and his junior sister were born, and the changes after they met Chen Hao. His junior sister, who had obtained Chen Hao's memory, had finally grown up and understood the true meaning of cultivation companions. Although his junior sister was joking, he didn't take it seriously. Heaven's secret. Even his powerful master couldn't completely control the life condensed by heaven-defying means. The trajectory had already changed. He no longer doted on his junior sister. He fought with her for spirit fruits and bickered with her. His thoughts were simple and pure. He wanted to let his junior sister understand that they weren't brother and sister, or let her choose to give up on him and become cultivation companions, so that she wouldn't have to worry about herself. All he wanted was for his junior sister to still be happy. With big brother taking care of you, you'll definitely be happy. 10 minutes should be enough for his junior sister to escape. Li Yang's clean and spotless spiritual altar finally began to tremble violently. Junior sister. Again. Senior brother. Big brother is here. You can't die. I can't live without you. Senior brother. Just as Li Yang gathered all his strength and prepared to explode his spiritual altar and destroy the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm at the same time, a familiar voice seemed to pierce through the void. It was a voice filled with tears, anxiety, and grief. Ah! Li Yang's heart trembled, and he suddenly stopped urging. He turned around and saw two figures. One of them was like a god, cutting through the void with a golden spear. The man and the spear were one, releasing a destructive pressure and a divine power that could tear the sky apart. It covered Du Jing, who had pushed him to the edge of life and death. The other was his junior sister, who was frantically rushing toward him on the ground with tears and anxiety on her face. Chen Hao. Ah. Du Jing, who was suddenly enveloped by a terrifying pressure, also turned around and saw Chen Hao, who was like a god descending from the heavens. He was so frightened that he forgot the fact that he was already a heaven immortal. In fact, it was useless even if he remembered, because Chen Hao's aura was too terrifying. He had no choice but to stop and frantically gather energy to meet Chen Hao's attack. Boom! With a loud explosion, the spear radiance and the sword radiance met. Du Jing was sent flying backward, spitting out blood. Chen Hao did not even look at Du Jing, who was sent flying backward. A bright brilliance suddenly rose from between his eyebrows and disappeared into Li Yang's glabella. The majestic, terrifying, and pure soul power suddenly protected Li Yang's soul residence completely. Take good care of brother Yang. Well, thank you, brother. Chen Ling said with a sobbing tone. She did not stop and rushed toward Li Yang. Senior brother. Woo 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 boom. Chen Hao stomped his foot, causing the mountains and rivers to tremble. Like a cannonball, he rushed toward Du Jing, who was desperately trying to escape. Fear, there was only boundless fear. The spear just now had almost taken his life. At this moment, he did not have any thoughts of fighting with Chen Hao. There was only one thought in his mind, which was to escape. Chapter 732. He slaughtered Chen Lin, killed Bai Yan, destroyed Moling Takshu, humiliated Hu Mainyang, and killed the 4 berserk dragons. What else did Chen Hao not dare to do? He did not see anything else with his own eyes, but he had witnessed Chen Hao's cold-bloodedness and arrogance when he fought the 4 berserk dragons alone. He had thought that he had the ability to kill Chen Hao and snatch the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, since he had stepped into the heaven immortal realm and taken out the divine elixir. He had even sent his subordinates to search for Chen Hao's whereabouts. But now, Chen Hao's spear had destroyed all his confidence and scared him out of his wits. Huff! Huff! Listening to the sound of the wind retreating rapidly, Du Jing felt that he was about to fly even under the 9 restrictions of a mortal ceiling. It was as if a small universe had erupted and his speed had broken through his limits. If he had such speed when he was chasing Li Yang, he would have caught up with him long ago. Lunatic. I have to get rid of him no matter what. He's a lunatic. A demon. He has no scruples at all. Get rid of him. I have to get rid of him. Quick, I have to be faster. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I, Du Jing, am the top genius of the Poison King Valley, and have already stepped into the heaven immortal realm. As long as I can walk out of the 9 restrictions of a mortal ceiling, I can shine. I want to be famous and gather thousands of providence. I can't die. In the face of life and death, Du Jing's small universe erupted and he performed beyond his limits. His speed was extremely fast. His ears were filled with the howling wind, and his eyes were filled with the rapidly retreating scenery. There was only one thought in his mind. Faster. Faster. Only in this way could he escape from the clutches of this lunatic. But boom. The earth trembled. Boom. The tremors were even more intense. That was the sound of Chun Hao's violent power stepping on the ground and soaring into the air. With every step, he flew more than 10,000 feet in the air. Under the 9 restrictions of a mortal ceiling, one could not fly. What did it mean to be able to fly more than 10,000 feet in the air? When the tremors of the earth became more and more intense and the explosions became louder and louder, Du Jing, who was desperately escaping, finally came to his senses. Boundless fear instantly made his hair stand. Chi. It was also at this moment that a figure that seemed like a bolt of lightning passed over his head and fell down with a loud bang. Pointing his spear diagonally, he blocked in front of Du Jing like a mountain. The terrifying pressure and the violent aura of an ancient ferocious beast enveloped Du Jing like a mountain or an ocean. Chun Hao, what are you trying to do? We don't have any grudges against each other. And we're not fighting over anything. No enmity. You dare to touch my sister and brother-in-law, and you call that having no enmity with them? Don't talk nonsense. When have I ever touched your sister or brother-in-law? I don't know him at all. The 2 people just now are them. Impossible. Impossible. That's an auspicious beast. Rue your mother. Boom. Chun Hao stabbed out with his spear. The spear transformed into a divine dragon, causing the world to change colors. Don't kill me. If you kill me, they won't live either. Gee. Suddenly, the spear light disappeared. Chun Hao really kept his spear. Du Jing, who could clearly feel the arrival of the Grim Reaper, turned pale and broke out in cold sweat. But he didn't dare to hesitate and continued. They were hit by the saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworm that the old valley master of the Poison King Valley specially refined for me. Other than me, no one in this world can save their lives. Don't think that you can stop my saint silkworm just because your soul is strong. As long as you're not Daoyuo Jingxian, you won't be able to lock onto the saint silkworm. The only result is that your soul will be eaten away bit by bit. If you kill me now, you'll definitely regret it. Is that so? If you don't believe me, you can try. I can wait. I won't resist. I'll let you seal me. Are you resisting? I'll let you live for now. Chi. Chun Hao waved his hand and formed a huge hand that covered the sky. It covered Du Jing. Sure enough, this guy didn't resist at all, and allowed Chun Hao's energy to enter his body and seal his strength. Du Jing heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. His mind worked quickly as he thought of a way to escape. He had full confidence in the saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworm, but he didn't have any confidence in Chun Hao, this lunatic. It seemed like there was nothing in this world that could make this lunatic apprehensive. Du Jing of the Poison King Valley. His combat strength is extremely strong, and his poison skills make people avoid him like he's a snake or a scorpion. He has obtained the true inheritance of the Poison King Valley's supreme technique, the Poison King Sutra. Chun Hao looked at the sealed Du Jing, and slowly spoke of the news he heard from the cultivators in the past few years. Du Jing of the Poison King Valley was a famous existence. Although he wasn't as strong as the 4 wild dragons, he was more terrifying. Don't worry with my body sealed, although I can still use the Poison King Sutra to activate the saint-level poisonous worms. You can easily kill me before you die from the poison. I only ask for my life. If you're still worried, you can seal my soul again. It's good that you understand. You're very confident, Chen Hao said coldly. His handsome face revealed a touch of cold arrogance. As he spoke, he opened his 5 fingers and a heaven-concealing palm appeared in his hand. He picked Du Jing up like he was picking up a chicken. His figure swayed and he soared into the sky. In an instant he was 10,000 feet high. Chen Hao didn't seal Du Jing's soul, but Du Jing widened his eyes in horror. He understood the meaning of Chen Hao's words. You're very confident. Under the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, Chen Hao, who was only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage, could use the Grand Void handprint to lift him up. It wasn't strange that he could launch such an attack, but it was shocking that he could maintain it. What was more shocking was that Chen Hao, who was using the Grand Void handprint, could reach such a terrifying speed while carrying him. Du Jing felt that he was an ant when he sensed Chen Hao's aura at such a close distance. He was at the Heaven Celestial stage. Although he had just stepped into the Heaven Celestial stage about half a year ago, he was still a Heaven Celestial. As for the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, Chen Hao was also among them. What kind of freak is he? Originally, he who knew his own limits did not plan to poison Chen Hao. Because it was just as he had said, once anything went wrong, Chen Hao would definitely kill him at the first possible moment. There was no need for that. Now he didn't dare to have any other thoughts. Bang! When they arrived at Chun Ling and Li Yang's side, Chen Hao threw Du Jing on the ground as if he was throwing garbage. Brother, thank you. Li Yang, who was sitting cross-legged, said gratefully to Chen Hao. His face was pale, but he struggled to stand up. Brother, I'm sorry. Chun Ling, who was supporting Li Yang, said to Chen Hao apologetically. What are you talking about? Don't forget that you're my younger brother and sister. Don't say such things again, Chen Hao said seriously. But I interrupted your inheritance. You saved Big Brother. My goal is to reach the real peak, not to take a shortcut. However, I might never be able to reach the real peak of the extreme Tao. If you didn't interrupt me, my soul and body would have merged, Chen Hao said. Previously, when Li Yang lured Du Jing away with the intention of dying, it took less than 2 minutes for the crazy Chen Ling to break through his seal. Chen Ling knew very well that the only person who could save her senior brother was Chen Hao. Chapter 733. If she chased after him, she might not even be able to catch up to him, let alone save him. Even if she did, she would be courting death. If her senior brother died, she wouldn't be able to live on by herself. They had depended on each other for countless years, and her senior brother was already the other half of her life. Although her senior brother didn't say much, she knew that her seemingly intelligent senior brother didn't understand her feelings when she casually said that they were more like siblings. She couldn't let her senior brother die with regrets, and she couldn't let him live alone. She only said those words because she wanted her senior brother to treat her like a Tao partner, and not always preach to her and dote on her like a sister. The moment she watched her senior brother disappear in front of her eyes, her heart was so painful and so angry. Why was she imprisoned and couldn't even speak? She would rather the two of them die in battle. She crazily and recklessly broke through the seal left behind by her senior brother, and rushed towards her only hope. She crazily bombarded the pure gold door, and screamed for Big Brother Chen Hao at the top of her lungs. At that time, Chen Hao's physical body had already been formed, and his spiritual altar had been reforged. He was still absorbing the essence blood of hundreds of ancient divine beasts and enduring endless pain. He was awake, but also muddle-headed. The huge tremors from the pure gold door, and Chun Ling's screams with all her strength made Chen Hao truly awake. Chen Hao was right. The inheritance wasn't interrupted when he was completely awake, but Chen Hao couldn't continue, and he didn't want to continue. If he knew that the inheritance was so terrifying, he wouldn't have even started. Because he felt that his soul and body were fusing, and his soul was showing signs of turning into a physical body. That wasn't what he wanted. Even though it could allow his strength to soar to a terrifying level in a short period of time. After Chen Hao forcefully broke through the blood pool, the entire underground space began to collapse. The anxious and terrified Chen Ling directly condensed her memory light and transmitted it to Chen Hao. Chen Hao instantly understood what was going on. He first used his powerful soul power to seal Chunling's soul palace, then pulled Chunling and chased after him as fast as lightning. That was how the following scene happened. Big brother, you don't have to comfort us. Since that senior knew about his own flaws, the legacy he left behind would definitely not allow you to walk the same path as him. Liang said, all right. I have my own Tao. What I've obtained now is exactly what I think is the most optimal state. If you treat me as a big brother, then don't treat me like an outsider. Otherwise I will really be angry. Chen Hao said seriously. Okay. Chunling and Liang both nodded. How do you feel? Chen Hao's expression softened as he asked with concern. I'm not as good as you guys at using the spiritual altar. Can you refine the poisonous insects? At this moment, Chen Hao did not have the demeanor of an expert, nor was he cold. It was as if he was a completely different person. All he had was his concern for his brothers and sisters. Du Jing's understanding of Chen Hao was limited to the rumors and the coldness of Chen Hao when he killed the 4 mad dragons. Seeing Chen Hao's current appearance, he simply couldn't believe it. How could a madman, a cold-blooded madman, have such a gentle side? It should work. Liang said. Impossible. My soul-devouring parasitic silkworm is invisible and traceless. Only the soul realm of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland can capture its tracks. Although your soul power is strong, you can only block it for a short while. Du Jing hurriedly said. If we were in the outside world, we could find the experts of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland to help you. However, in the primitive secret realm, other than me, no one can save you. If you don't believe me, you can try. If you can, just kill me. If you can't, I only ask for my life. I guarantee that I will cure you. I dare say that you are unable to lock onto the Saint Silkworm's tracks. There are a total of 7 of them. You have 4 in your mind and 3 in your mind. You can only use your soul palace as the core to defend against it. You can temporarily defend against it because your soul power is very strong. My Saint Silkworm is unable to digest it in one go. As it continues to devour your soul power, it will become stronger and stronger. With your soul realm, you won't be able to kill it. Du Jing's life was in Chen Hao's hands. If Chen Hao believed Li Yang's words, then Du Jing's fate would be death. Therefore, he had no choice but to reveal the strength of the saint-rank soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Chen Hao looked at Du Jing coldly, but didn't stop him. Try it. Chen Hao looked at Chunling and Liang. Junior sister, let's try combining. Chunling agreed and sat cross-legged facing Liang. Their palms touched, and their eyes met before they slowly closed their eyes. After a while, the 2 of them shone brightly. It's no use. Du Jing said softly but confidently. Shut up. Chen Hao shouted at Du Jing coldly. However, Chen Hao didn't dare to threaten them. If the 2 of them really couldn't refine the soul-devouring parasitic silkworms, they could only rely on Du Jing to use the Poison King Sutra to save them. If they lost their hope of survival and fought to the death, it wouldn't be worth it. All right. I won't say anything. Brother Chen, the results will be out very soon. If I'm willing, I can use the Poison King Sutra to activate the Saint Silkworms, and let the 7 Saint Silkworms enter the mind of one of them. The effect will be immediately apparent. Although Du Jing didn't say anything, he still said to Chen Hao. At this moment, at such a distance, his soul wasn't sealed, and he could clearly sense the state of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworms. Naturally, he was very confident. However, he knew that it wouldn't be so simple if he wanted to stay alive. This was because Chen Hao was a lunatic that couldn't be measured by common sense. If he didn't keep his word, what was a promise? Even if he kept his word, how long could he escape after he saved the 2 of them? With Chen Hao's terrifying strength, he really didn't think that he could hide for long if he wanted to kill someone in the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing. Unless he disappeared without a trace and didn't do anything. He was really scared. He was scared out of his wits. After 10 minutes, the light on Liang and Chunling's bodies weakened, and they opened their eyes with solemn expressions. Needless to say, Chen Hao knew what the result was. Detoxify. I'll let you live. Chen Hao didn't waste any time and said directly to Du Jing. Du Jing looked at Chen Hao's emotionless eyes and couldn't be sure of Chen Hao's true thoughts. Now it was time for him to raise his conditions. He could ask Chen Hao to bring the two of them into the city where cultivators gathered, and make Chen Hao promise in front of everyone. However, if he did that, it would be blackmail. Chen Hao would definitely agree, but what about in the future? He might have to stay in the primitive mystic realm for close to 1,000 years. After staring at Chen Hao and taking a deep breath, Du Jing made a difficult decision. Chapter 734. Brother Chen, I didn't know they were your sister and brother-in-law. I thought they were guardian beasts from the land of legacy, so I cut the crap. Detoxify the poison and Chen Hao, will let you live. Alright. But before I detoxify the poison, I Du Jing swear loyalty to you, Brother Chen. From now on, you're my boss. Qi. As Du Jing spoke, a ripple flashed between his brows. It was a pure soul ripple, but it made Chen Hao frown slightly. You're smart and decisive. I don't need a reason to kill you. I won't talk about principles with you. No one can threaten my family. I know. Du Jing's heart thumped, but he calmed down immediately. His life was saved. Because since Chen Hao said so, it proved that he wouldn't kill him anymore. It also proved that he had made the right bet. A master-servant contract. I only ask that you allow me to call you that. I'm a disciple of the Divine Temple after all. And a true disciple of the Poison King Valley. If the world knows that I've become a servant, the Poison King Valley won't allow me to exist anymore. It'll be disadvantageous to you, brother. Du Jing continued. Qi. A beam of light shot out from between Chen Hao's brows, and he signed a master-servant soul contract with Du Jing. Then he released the seal on Du Jing and said, You don't have to, brother. Just call me Chen Hao in the future. Don't let anyone know that you're my man for the time being. Save them. Yes, brother. Du Jing walked directly toward Chen Ling and Liang. Buzz. Du Jing's brows emitted a dazzling light, and at the same time he opened his mouth and emitted an extremely sharp sound wave. The light and sound wave instantly condensed into a complicated and mysterious rune that penetrated Chen Ling's brows first. The Poison King Sutra is indeed not simple. Chen Hao thought to himself as he watched this scene. The mysterious and complicated rune changed thousands of times in an instant. Even Chen Hao couldn't see it clearly. Even if he did, it would be useless. It required the corresponding Heart Sutra and magic to have the same effect. Qi. When the rune penetrated Chen Ling's brows, Du Jing suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood essence. A dazzling, blood-red, enchanting 9-petal lotus appeared between their brows. Buzz. At the same time, Du Jing's lips opened and closed at a terrifying speed, and emitted an even sharper sound wave. Hiss. 3 subtle auras that were invisible to the naked eye, but could be sensed suddenly escaped from between Chen Ling's eyebrows and entered the vessel that Du Jing quickly took out. This is for you. Once you recover, immediately treat my senior brother. Chen Ling hurriedly took out a jade bottle and poured out 2 soul-refining pills. She handed one to Du Jing and consumed the other. Hiss, 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 hiss. As a successor disciple of the Poison King's Valley, Du Jing was not only proficient in poisons, but also in elixirs. However, he had never seen or heard of this soybean-sized elixir in front of him, which was emitting a 7-colored light. However, he could roughly determine its possible use from its aura. Hiss. This is a panacea for the recovery of the divine soul. Hiss. My brother is still in pain. Although Chen Ling's face was pale, she looked much better without the pain caused by the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Hiss, 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 hiss. Okay. When the soul-refining pill entered his mouth, it instantly transformed into an extremely pure soul energy, but it was extremely violent. In an instant, it caused Du Jing's head to be covered in cold sweat, and his soul felt as if it was being fried by fire, falling into extreme pain. Boss. It's a little painful, but it can help your spiritual power recover quickly. Chunling said. Bear with it, Chunhao said, taking over Chunling's words. Although he got a bottle of soul-refining elixir, he had not used it yet. He was a little surprised to see Du Jing in such a state. The elixir was only the size of a bean, but it was so powerful. Its value was beyond his imagination. Yes. Hiss. Hiss. In a short while, Du Jing's eyebrows were filled with dense qi. His spiritual altar was trembling. His long hair was flying, and his whole body was covered in cold sweat. Hiss. Hiss. Although Chunhao did not have much contact with Du Jing, he knew that Du Jing was a character. He was calm and wise in the face of danger. If the pain did not exceed his limit, he would not be in such a terrible state. Ling is the soul-refining elixir so powerful? Chunhao could not help but ask. It's so painful. Humph. My senior brother and I are in so much pain. If it weren't for our strong spiritual altars, we would have had a mental breakdown from the pain. However, big brother, you don't have to worry. I'm telling the truth. The soul-refining elixir is 10 times or 100 times more painful for cultivators who have not learned the spiritual healing art. My senior brother and I often don't use the spiritual tempering art to refine our spiritual altars. At most, we will faint, but it will not cause any harm to the soul. Big brother. Can you do Ling a favor? Chunling suddenly said to Chunhao shyly. She glanced at her senior brother, who was sitting cross-legged and resisting the Saint Silkworm. Tell me. If big brother can help, I will help you. Let me borrow the power of your spiritual altars. Cough cough. What do you want to do? You can borrow the spiritual altars? Of course I can. I just want to borrow your power. I want to see what kind of memories my senior brother left for me. He sealed it, and I can only see it when I reach his level, Chunling said in a low voice. No, big brother, you must not help junior sister. What Chunhao and Chunling didn't expect was that Li Yang, who seemed to be undistracted, would actually suddenly open his eyes at this moment and speak rather nervously. His pale face even suffused with red clouds. Junior sister, you absolutely can't look at that thing. If you see it, senior brother, I will kill myself. Pooh. Chunling could not help but laugh. Ha ha ha. Chunhao looked at Li Yang's appearance and could not help but laugh out loud. Needless to say, Chunhao knew that those were definitely Li Yang's last words before he died. Who knew how tear-jerking, touching, and affectionate they were? Now that he was alive, how could he let Chunling see them? Senior brother, you're using my move. It's so embarrassing. Chunling curled her lips. She had often used the move to threaten her senior brother, and now, he was using it on her. Big brother, don't bother about senior brother. Help me. I'm your sister, you're closer to me than him. Big brother, if you help her, I really don't want to live anymore. I can't participate in your internal battle. Ling, if you want to see it, you have to cultivate properly and rely on yourself. Chunhao shook his head and said. No. If I rely on myself, he will immediately snatch away that ball of memory when he recovers. I know him well. Senior brother, unless you promise me that you won't erase it after he recovers, I will kill myself now. Chunling looked at the huge protruding rock not far away. She looked like she would kill herself if he did not agree. Li Yang did not think Chunling was joking. There were a few times when he compromised a little too slowly, and this girl's head was broken and bleeding. Although it was not fatal, his heart would ache. Helplessly, Li Yang could only agree and said, I promise you. Big brother is the witness, you can't go back on your words. Chunling said proudly. Chunhao shook his head speechlessly with a smile. These two were really living treasures who hadn't grown up yet. The soul-stirring life and death crisis had not passed, and the two seemed to have forgotten it. Chunhao had originally planned to say a few words for the servant after Li Yang's treatment, but now he didn't need to say anything. 10 minutes later, Du Jing finished absorbing the soul-refining pill like a drowned rat. His eyes were complicated, with both fear and excitement. Although this pill brought him pain that was worse than death, it also benefited his soul a lot, and his spirit was full to the limit. Du Jing did not say much, and directly cured Li Yang and collected the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Du Jing, you can go now. Yes, boss. Boss, more than half a year ago, after you killed the 4 wild dragons and triggered the heavenly punishment, many cultivators stepped into the heavenly immortal stage under the influence of the heavenly punishment. Yes, I know that. This was also the reason why I chose to leave back then. Chunhao frowned slightly and said, After that, did anyone make things difficult for Chen Xiaobai and Long Ting? No. To tell you the truth, boss, back then, I also wanted to get the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core. The reason why I came here was also to find traces of you, boss. There were many cultivators who had the same idea as me, and they were all experts who stepped into the heavenly immortal stage at that time. The strongest among them was Hu Mainyang. At that time, the heavenly punishment she triggered was extremely terrifying, more than 10 times stronger than ordinary geniuses. Moreover, some experts who followed her also triggered the heavenly punishment. But I believe that with your combat strength, boss, no one can defeat you under the 9 restrictions. Don't beat around the bush, just say it. Cough cough. Yes, boss. I think that after breaking through the 9 restrictions, the gap between an earth immortal and a heavenly immortal will truly become obvious. So, I hope that boss can keep a low profile and cultivate in seclusion. It's best if you don't clash with others for the time being. I'm not afraid of death, but I feel that it's meaningless. With boss's potential, once you break through to the heavenly immortal stage, you'll be truly invincible. The 9 restrictions are just a small interlude in the primitive mystic realm. In the future, there's still a vast world and plenty of time. I have my own plans, you can go now. Yes, boss, take care. Both of you, sorry for the offense. Du Jing cupped his fists and turned to leave. Chapter 735. Seeing that Du Jing had disappeared, Qinling invited him. Big brother, let's go to our cave abode and have a look. I won't go to your cave abode. Focus on your cultivation, and look for me in the core area according to what we said before. Chunhao said. Oh, big brother, how can we find you then? Don't worry, you'll hear about me when you go there. By then, with your strength, it'll be easy for big brother to get your news. That's it, I have to go back to the cave abode to get my package. Let's part ways here. Okay, big brother, there are more than 10 people with Du Jing in the lake. There should be a lot of things. You can take them as well. Also, take the packages of those I killed last time. They're placed near the golden door. Li Yang said. Okay. Waving his hand, Chunhao left quickly. Li Yang and Qinling only retracted their gazes when Chunhao had completely disappeared from their sight. Big brother's spiritual altar and physical body are about twice as strong. If he didn't have to save the 2 of us and get the complete inheritance, he would be even stronger. Li Yang said. Big brother hasn't cultivated the soul healing technique that I taught him. If he cultivated it, I really don't know how strong he'll be. We're still mainly cultivating the soul. We can't compare to big brother. Qinling laughed and continued, Senior brother, it'll be very interesting for us to follow big brother. We'll become stronger and have a lot of delicious food. This time, I'll work hard to cultivate. Let's go, senior brother, let's go back. Okay. Hiss hiss, the 2 of them held hands and disappeared instantly. No way? When they arrived at the underground world again, Chunhao was dumbfounded. The deep canyon had disappeared, the lake was gone, and the cliff was thousands of feet high. The surrounding mountains had collapsed completely, covering everything. Although the cave abode had collapsed, Chunhao did not expect it to be so serious. He was in a hurry to save them. It's a big loss. Chunhao looked at the mountain-like boulder with a sad and gloomy expression. The cave abode and the underground world were tens of thousands of feet deep. Not to mention that he had the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Chunhao's mana and magic were greatly restricted. Even without the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, it would take a lot of effort for Chunhao to move mountains and fill seas. Chunhao looked at the golden spear in his hand, which he had hurriedly taken away, and the Taoist robe he had snatched from Lan Feng. He wanted to vomit blood. There were a few ancient sacred swords, 2 ancient sabers, dozens of ancient supreme-grade spiritual weapons, relatively precious ancient manuals, powerful ancient elixirs, and most importantly, the soul-refining elixirs that Li Yang and Qinling had exchanged with him. Even if these were nothing, the four walls and ceiling of the cave abode were inlaid with supreme divine power, and the blood essence of the 100 types of divine beasts in the blood pool. No matter what, they had to dig it out. Wasn't it just a few thousand feet? Wasn't it just a boulder the size of a mountain? It's worth fighting for a few months. After confirming the direction and angle, Chunhao took a deep breath and prepared to be a mouse. But just as Chunhao gathered all the strength in his body and was about to split the boulder, a stream of light suddenly escaped from the center of the collapsed ground in front of him. Kid, your things are here. You've already given up on the old man's inheritance, so don't come back. Bang! The huge package fell in front of Chunhao, and Chunhao was really dumbfounded this time. He stared at the shadow that suddenly appeared in horror. At this moment, Chunhao felt that his soul and body were completely imprisoned, and he couldn't move even if he wanted to. The old man calculated all the mysteries of heaven, but he didn't expect that. The mysteries of heaven are not unpredictable, but variable. Kid, you are a variable. However, you can be considered half a disciple of the old man, so I'll give these to you. The shadow of the old man stared at Chunhao and said to himself. At the same time he pointed at Chunhao, and a ball of sparkling light suddenly merged into Chunhao's mind. In the future, if you meet someone who obtains the old man's inheritance, the old man hopes that you will take care of him for the sake of half a master and disciple relationship between us. In addition, you have to treat the two disciples of the old man well. In the future, when they unlock the most powerful technique of the inheritance, if you get it, you can compare it with the information I passed to you. Maybe you'll have a chance to comprehend the most powerful technique of the righteous path. Go, the old man's divine consciousness is not much left, and we have to wait for the appearance of the inheritor. Hiss. Rumble. From the beginning to the end, Chunhao didn't even have a chance to say a word. After the old man finished speaking, he disappeared. At the same time, the collapsed mountain once again underwent a shocking change. The mountain reassembled, the valley reappeared, and the lake was reborn. Meanwhile, Chunhao's body was enveloped by a profound energy, and he was directly sent far away. A strand of divine consciousness. It's just a strand of divine consciousness, but it's so powerful. What kind of power is this? What kind of realm does one have to reach to do this? In the blink of an eye, Chunhao appeared thousands of miles away. However, Chunhao stared blankly into the distance, and his heart was in turmoil. This was a real expert. A strand of divine consciousness that had existed for countless years still had such unparalleled power. What kind of concept was this? But this old man still didn't stand at the real peak. Phew. I still have a long way to go. I can't bite off more than I can chew, and I can't be scared. I'm just me, and I've only cultivated for a few decades. As long as I keep moving forward, one day, I'll be able to reach this realm. No, surpass him. Step onto the real peak. There's no way out. Chunhao clenched his fists, and his dazed eyes regained their clarity and shone with a determined light. Since he had chosen to go far, what he left to the world could only be his back. There was no way out. In the cruel world of cultivation, once you started, there was no turning back. Unless you stood at the highest peak, you would always be shackled to the mud, and the circle of competition would become stronger and crueler. Retreat? That was courting death. Thank you, senior. Chunhao bowed toward the distance. Whether the other party sensed it or not, this was Chunhao's heartfelt gratitude. He was the one who gave up the inheritance. Although it was more or less an accident, there was no doubt that giving up was also Chunhao's original intention. Chunhao's Tao. However, although he didn't receive the inheritance, in just half a year, Chunhao's soul and physical body had improved by 2 times, and his real combat strength had improved even more. The golden spear picked up the huge package on the ground, and Chunhao walked toward the distance with firm steps. Although he was curious, Chunhao didn't immediately open the message that the old man sent him. From the old man's words, he could tell that the old man had not been able to break through to the extreme Tao, and he really only wanted to leave his legacy behind and find an inheritor. Otherwise, the old man wouldn't have told him to combine and comprehend Li Yang and Chunling's supreme mental cultivation techniques after obtaining them. Let's go to the nearest city first. It wasn't impossible to cultivate in the wilderness, but if he wanted to compete for the next core palace, he would lose the initiative. That was because he didn't know where the edge to the seventh forbidden was in the wilderness. After entering the city, as long as the core palaces of all the forbidden cities were obtained by cultivators, the city would disappear, and all the cultivators in the city would enter the seventh forbidden area directly. That way, he could rush to the forbidden city of the seventh forbidden area as soon as possible. Chun Hao, who had no intention of keeping a low profile, naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity. If they wanted to snatch the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core from him, then they could come. A heavenly immortal expert? Previously, Chun Hao really couldn't do it, and he had chosen to avoid and leave. Now, however, Chun Hao wasn't afraid at all. Under the tempering of the blood essence of hundreds of ancient divine beasts, his physical body and soul had been greatly improved. In particular, his physical body could evolve on its own, and even his unchangeable bloodline had undergone a mutation. In addition, the battle with Du Jing had given him a rough idea of the power of a heavenly immortal expert in the 9 seals of immortal sealing. What was he afraid of? Kill the enemy as soon as possible. Otherwise, without the restraint of the 9 seals of immortal sealing, it wouldn't be so easy to kill a heavenly immortal expert, or he wouldn't have the ability to kill one at all. Chun Hao couldn't be sure, and he would only know when the time came. Half a month later, a huge city emitting a dense glow appeared in Chun Hao's sight. The golden spear carried a small mountain of baggage, and Chun Hao's aura was reduced by half, returning to the level he was at when he fought the 4 wild dragons more than half a year ago. A smile flashed on his handsome face as he looked at the baggage behind him. It's a little too tightly packed. 1 or 2 ancient divine artifacts should be exposed. Hee. Chun Hao had always abided by his own principles, and he wouldn't take the initiative to harm anyone, but he wouldn't be polite to anyone who didn't have eyes. In particular, many experts who had stepped into the heavenly immortal realm were still thinking about his Tao manifestation immortal fruit core. This should be enough. After revealing the 2 ancient divine artifact swords, Chun Hao looked at the baggage behind him with satisfaction. At this moment, he was like a fisherman, and the attractive bait had been released, waiting for the greedy fish to take the bait. His goal was simple, to be high profile. Let the big fish who really wanted to deal with him smell the scent, and get rid of as many as he could. Strange, there are so few people? When he stepped into the city gate, what made Chun Hao feel slightly strange was that there wasn't a single cultivator on the streets near the city gate, which didn't make sense. Now that he was about to enter the 7th seal, most of the cultivators who were training outside should be rushing to the city. Previously, the cities in the several forbidden zones were always packed with people. There were cultivators everywhere. How could there be no one now? The city hasn't disappeared. Obviously, some of the core palaces of the city haven't been taken yet. There's no reason for there to be no one. Who else is coming? Suddenly, a voice cut through the sky, breaking the silence of the city. Chun Hao was slightly surprised. 5 moves. If you can withstand 5 moves from me, you'll get an ancient supreme grade spiritual treasure. 10 moves, you'll get an ancient divine artifact. If you can defeat me, all of my treasures will be yours. You've all seen it, I won't kill you. With such a precious treasure in front of you, there's no danger to your life, and you don't have to pay any price. Why no one dares. The voice that shook the surroundings continued. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.